I'm not your gossip girl, I'm the headline. Truth with a curve, baby, redefine. Welcome to the thirst trap. All the truth looks good in a tight wrap. We talk love, power, soul, and sin. Turn the world on, let the light in. Yeah, the thirst trap news. You'll drink it up, it's the real you. In between thirst real news, where every headline's a revelation.
Welcome, America. This is Luna Lopez, your host. Already getting tongue-tied of Thirst Trap News. I'm glad all of you are here with me. Welcome. Pull up a chair, grab your sweetie, dim the lights, and take a deep breath because tonight we're stepping straight into the shadows where the cameras glitch. The microphone sticks mysteriously cut out, and the authorities suddenly lose their voices. Tonight we're talking about something bigger than political drama, bigger than the culture war, bigger even than the usual corruption that we're all numb to by now. Tonight we're talking about an assassination. And not just the act itself, but the cover-up, the silence, and the institutional rot that screams louder than any statement the White House refuses to make. But here's what the videos show, and let me tell you right now, what you're about to see is not conspiracy, it's not speculation, and it's not internet rumor. No, it's evidence, it's receipts. It's the kind of thing that in a sane nation would force resignations before sunrise, but no, we hear crickets. We have a woman, a researcher, a citizen, a truth hunter, standing in broad daylight, telling America, the very people who built the FBI, the very founders of the institutions we were raised to trust, the French intelligence apparatus that birthed the FBI's early structure, may be linked to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And suddenly, every agency went mute. Every three-letter department, they're just blinking. The President of the United States suddenly has become a mime. The same people who comment on everything from Taylor Swift's outfits to what they ate for breakfast suddenly have nothing to say about political bloodshed on American soil. And the silence, it's louder than the gunshot. This is the part that makes your stomach drop. Not just what happened, but what didn't happen. No emergency press conference, no outrage, no call for justice, just a vacuum, a show, a orchestrated marionette puppet show. You could see the shadows above while the governor spoke like a doll. Because when the government really wants to tell you something, have you noticed they leak it, they hint it, they posture, they tweet, they sources say you to death. And when the government wants something buried, they do exactly what they're doing right now, absolutely nothing. Just radio silence, which means one thing. They know. They know she's telling the truth. They know the foreign fingerprints are involved. They know the chain of command. They know that if American people ever find out how deep this goes, this entire pedophilic empire, this whole rotten, polished and polished again and repackaged illusion of democracy collapses overnight. And let me tell you this, I have never in my life seen the agencies go this quiet over something this explosive. We can talk about JFK and Lincoln, and we can talk about their assassinations all day long. We could admit that conspiracies are true all day long for them. But for Charlie, it's just been quiet. When a government becomes silent about a murder, it's not because they're confused, it's because they're involved. So tonight we're not blinking, we're not whispering, and we're not asking permission to speak. We're pulling back the veil on the kind of truth that gets people nervous, gets them censored, and gets powerful people pacing in their offices wondering how the hell this information slipped through the cracks. America deserves answers. Charlie Kirk deserves justice. And the people behind his assassination, foreign or domestic, deserve to stand in the light they've worked so hard to avoid. So buckle up, my loves. The truth is about to get uncomfortable, undeniable, and unstoppable. I have 2 videos for you tonight. We're going to move rather quickly because we're going to watch 2 of Candace's videos. It's really important to me that you guys listen to what this woman has to say, even if I have to force feed it down your damn throats. So we are going to do that. But before we do that, of course, let's look at the chat and see all who's here. Okay, lots of the old names. Backwater's here. Jack, Cash, Nate. And we got some that came through and dipped out, but that's fine because we don't need them. By the way, if you won fan of the show and you haven't gotten with producer Ryan, please do so we can mail it to you. If you're on Rumble and you want it, which I know Reality Pocket did, so if he's on Rumble right now, please message producer Ryan, who I think is watching on the show. I don't know if you can message each other on Rumble. So I think if you're on Rumble, what you're going to have to do, Reality Pocket, if you won, or if any of you win on Rumble, and remember to pick one for, never mind. If you win and you're a Rumble watcher, you're going to have to email me, and I'll give that email out at the end of the show. So if you want to find out what the email is, get a little closer to Luna, you got to watch the whole damn thing. How are you guys doing? Hi, Jack. Yes, I felt lazy to do my hair. I just really didn't want to look at myself at all today, so I did the fastest makeup I could. Got rid of my dark circles, put some lashes on, and braided my hair. And there you have it. Here I am. Put a little lipstick. Actually, I put lip liner, and then I smudged it with chapstick. So, yeah. Okay. Let's get into the video. Are y'all ready to watch Candace Owens? Are you going to be mad? Are you going to be mad when you realize this woman has been telling you the truth? Have you not noticed Nick Fuentes, by the way, who's been going fucking after Candace, which is like, really? You're going to go after another rebel like that? Because like she's kind of your style. And Nick Fuentes, I'm convinced, is an FBI op. I kind of had this feeling the whole time about him that something wasn't right. Because I'm like, how can somebody that looks like you say the things that you say and not be completely lynched by the leftists and the MAGA group? And it was just so extreme. And he was always going so hard in the paint over Israel. And then all of a sudden, what does he do? He says, no, I don't think Israel killed Charlie. And then what was the other thing he did? He said he didn't think Israel killed Charlie. Oh, yeah. And it was that he completely believes the FBI's narrative on Charlie Kirk's death. He thinks Tyler Robinson's the killer. He believes that the FBI is telling us the truth. So, and that J6, he was recorded on camera, clear as day. You could see his face, completely telling everyone, go down to the Capitol, completely disregard the police and overwhelm. He literally said overwhelm the Capitol. And also, he's half Jewish. Fuentes is his father's last name, who is Mexican. His mother is Jewish and has ties to Mossad. So, hate to break it to you. Nick Fuentes is a fraud, and I am your only pure America-only rebel that exists on the internet right now. And one day, they're going to come for me because I say, fuck Ukraine, fuck Israel, fuck Palestine, fuck all of you, the whole lot of you, because we need to take care of home first. So, there's something going on in the MAGA movement where some of us are starting to realize that MAGA was just Trump's phrase, and then there's really actually being America first. So Trump, why has Epstein list got quiet again? Also, why are you lying to us about Charlie Kirk's death? Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, we know you're lying. And now that we know who's involved, I'm just fucking done. I don't want to send one damn dollar east of the hemisphere. They can stay in our borders. We can stop immigration for 10 years. We need to get our shit straight, get freaking spiritual again. And then maybe we can have everyone get in line. And we'll go for the best bidder. What are you going to do for us? Because what's really been going on is not what we think. I've been telling everyone we're not a real country. We are a corporation owned by Britain. Look it up. Look it up. Your favorite conspiracy people know this to be true. Of course, you'll say it's crazy, but it's literally public record. Makes you start to realize a whole bunch of shit. All right, so we're going to move through this pretty quickly because we have 2 videos to watch. And I need you guys to watch everything. You have to, because this is like going to expose everything we all are like right there on the edge with all that information and unable to prove. So let's do it.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. I'm going to ask you a question. It's actually a riddle that we're all familiar with. What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's what's on my mind. That's what's on my mind really all day, because yesterday we were explaining to you guys this sort of random coincidence, maybe not a coincidence, of the FBI seemingly choosing to work in offices that are kind of being run by like French royalty in essence, right? These old French American families. Now, why would our FBI do that? Surely they would have been aware that they were choosing to work in buildings that might potentially have some foreign interests. But then you know what? It clicked. The chicken came before the egg. Of course, don't be ridiculous. That's the answer to the riddle. LOL to the American history that's taught to us in the public schools. The French helped to establish the United States. They came over and they helped us win our big independence from the big bad Brits. And then what? They just left us alone. It was just an act of charity. Like, we're good. We want nothing in return. We just want you guys to be free. Does that make sense to you? Come on. Turns out, actually, and you may have known this, maybe I'm just American ignorance, but our FBI was founded by the French.
Welcome, girl with
in
no
theory,
name.
the FBI really is in France's building over in Wilmington, if you think about it, for a long time. And I have been thinking about this for a long time. So welcome back to Candace. I actually want to begin this episode with a comment from yesterday's episode, because, you know, we ran that poll wondering whether or not the public agreed with me about my lawsuit, me being filed by Brigitte Macron, me being sued by Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron, and whether or not it was just one big federal setup meant to bankrupt me. And here is an answer that we got in the comment section. Look at this. I believe that the purpose of Macron's lawsuit was that it was supposed to go nowhere because Candace was supposed to have been assassinated before the case got to court. Then they could forever claim that Candace was lying, which is evident by the fact that they were suing her for quote unquote defamation before someone had killed her. This was their plan, but I pray that it has now been foiled. I had never considered that, and that hit really deeply, and that is a dark thought. And I think now I'm wondering, I have a lot of questions. Everything feels different in this post Charlie
If you
Kirk
don't know what
world.
she's talking about,
Where to begin? How about we
go back and
should talk
watch
about the
her
founding of
lives.
America? Because man, those Catholic priests that I was telling you about, they were unbelievably correct. I told you guys a long time ago how when I was considering whether or not I should be Orthodox or Catholic, but I knew that I was sort of done with Protestantism, I had been taking instruction from these priests in Europe and in the UK. And one of the fathers is a real bookworm, right? Kind of this cantankerous Englishman, no time for the American education system whatsoever. And he said to me quite famously, "You Americans know nothing of your own history. Your country was founded by Freemasons."
Yep.
And that just kind of permanently now echoes in.
So, as many of you know, I have a direct relative who was a vice president, and my father's family were Freemasons of the skull and crossbone type.
my ear, because boy, was he right. A war that had been sort of waging across Europe for centuries had then spilled into America. It was largely a spiritual war. It was really a theological war. That's what I'm starting to realize. That's why America never really had an appetite for Orthodox or Catholicism, because the Catholics and the Orthodox have kept history. They know what was going on in Europe, not the fake history that's packaged and sold to Americans. They know what the Freemasons were up to. Freemasons who caused all of those revolutions against really the Christian empire across Europe. The idea really, I now think, is keep Americans fat and dumb and drugged and propagandized, right?
That's the Roman formula.
And then when we need to, use their men to mass murder other Christians overseas. That's the big picture that I'm beginning to see. All of this to say, did you know that our FBI was founded by Charles Joseph Bonaparte? I had no idea. I hate to be American ignorant, but I had no idea. And yes, that man was the founder. And yes, that is like Napoleon Bonaparte. His grandfather, Charles's grandfather, was Napoleon Bonaparte's brother. Was his great uncle. Napoleon Bonaparte was his great uncle, which makes it kind of hilarious, right? Because our tip yesterday from that person in Wilmington, Delaware, was asserting that the FBI had these offices, these kind of hidden offices, maybe kind of in buildings that appear to be in part controlled by French American families who might have some conflicted interests. Particularly, we were discussing the DuPont family, right?
Ooh, this is good.
Mentioning the DuPont family led to a...
If you remember, in Wilmington, Delaware, there's a whole bunch of planes. This whole thing with her discovering the French was just from following the Egyptian planes that were in the air and took off right after. Remember, there was a plane. That was one of the first things that hit the news, was there was a plane that was taking off and transponding. It was Egyptian. So those planes were flying back and forth, but kept stopping in Wilmington, Delaware. And the cars that were going from the planes into the town were going to a North King Street in Wilmington, where a bunch of federal buildings that are called resident buildings, that are just kind of like low key. You wouldn't suspect them. They are connected to this, and everything in Wilmington is tied to the DuPont family.
A flurry of tips coming out of Delaware. It was incredible. People in Wilmington saying, they own kind of everything, like everything, hospitals, schools, buildings, you name it, it is theirs. And then we received some more tips from...
Welcome, Prophet, Silva Gang, Giovanni, Ferrari, Daniel. We're moving pretty quick. I got 2 videos for you guys tonight, so stay and hang with me. We got fan of the show coming at the end, and I am announcing my email address.
from people who were invested in sort of the urban legends of the DuPont family. They were telling us, hey, I went to school with DuPonts. Like, there's a lot of stories there. And these stories sound a lot like what you were covering in your Becoming Brigitte series. You remember, actually, right before we had been sort of interrupted in Becoming Brigitte series 2, season 2, we were speaking about Eric Dupont Moretti, and we were speaking about how he
Now this
was
is a different
kind of known, made a name for himself, making an argument
He is French American.
for happy incest. Yeah.
Did you check
people
that? Let me rewind
were telling
just
us
a
like,
smidge.
hey, this DuPont family, there's a lot going on there.
Uh-oh.
And they've also maybe been involved in some murders. Again, this was schools, buildings, you name it, it is theirs. And then we received some more tips from people who were invested in sort of the urban legends of the DuPont family. They were telling us, hey, I went to school with DuPonts. Like, there's a lot of stories there. And these stories sound a lot like what you were covering in your Becoming Brigitte series. You remember, actually, right before
Remember
we
I've
had
been saying to you guys, she did not, I guarantee you she had no clue that her pet project with Brigitte Macron was going to lead her into, like, connect to Charlie Kirk. And she addresses that in this.
been sort of interrupted in Becoming Brigitte series 2, season 2, we were speaking about Eric Dupont Moretti, and we were speaking about how he was kind of known, made a name for himself, making an argument for happy incest. Yeah. People were telling us like, hey, this DuPont family, there's a lot going on there. And they've also maybe been involved in some murders. Again, this was DuPont folklore, if you will. But then more emails came in, and you know what? It's not entirely folklore. Okay. It's really just not. This is actually an article that appeared in Vanity Fair, so let's read it together. And I'm going to issue a trigger warning right at the top because it is disturbing.
What she's getting at, just for you guys that are joining, is that the FBI working offices that were discovered in Wilmington, Delaware, that were low-key, kind of not obvious that that's what they were, they're owned by powerful French families. You have to go back to the previous live streams she's had and watch everything, but I'm basically forcing this down everybody's throats at this point.
Episode in general, I should say, is not for the faint of heart. Here's the headline. DuPont heir gets no prison time for raping 3-year-old daughter. Okay. And the person who emailed this over said, this has actually kind of lived in me for over a decade because I was so disturbed by the story, and you should read this. And it tells us that Robert Richards IV was in 2009 convicted of raping his 3-year-old daughter 7 years after she, who was just 5, told relatives that she didn't want her father to be touching her anymore. And it says, in an alarming twist, the judge who sentenced the heir to the DuPont fortune let him off with no jail time, arguing that the 6'4" Richards will not fare well in prison. That was the argument that the lawyer made, and the courts in Delaware found that to be valid. So instead of sentencing him for prison for raping a toddler, it goes on and tells us that Judge Jan Jordan ruled that Richards would benefit from treatment instead.
And they're
Critics have since noted that such treatment is usually
too. Like, you never see a hot pedophile unless it's a chick. It's like fucking men that have options don't go for children. This is just everything is tying back to pedophilia. Everything in this world is literally tying back to enabling a culture of trafficking around the world to satisfy the elites in this thing.
Offered only to drug addicts or those in possession of child pornography.
Keep this in mind. Why would they want Turning Point? We just talked about pedophilia. Turning Point has now opened a bunch of high school chapters. Just keep that in mind.
Not convicted rapists, and the details of the case became public this month when Richard's ex-wife sued him for damages related to the abuse of their daughter. Here is how the News Journal described.
I don't know if this is the DuPont that started a wrestling camp, but this is the DuPont in terms of the paint family. They actually produce chemicals. They're not just a paint family. DuPont got famous because of the paint, but they make a whole lot of chemicals, including biochemical warfare products.
Describes a convicted rapist, in this case, quote, Richards, who is unemployed and supported by a trust fund, owns a 5,800 square foot mansion in Greenville that he bought for $1.8 million.
Snyder, this is why the LGB community is trying to separate from the TQI blah, 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 because they're perverted, disgusting people who fetishize real struggles when it comes to that stuff, and no one should be publicly celebrating your sexuality and normalizing a fetish.
In 2005, he also lists a home in the exclusive North Shores neighborhood near Rehoboth Beach, according to the state's sex abuse registry. Tells us that his great-grandfather is the DuPont family patriarch, Irénée DuPont, and his father is Robert H. Richards, a retired partner in the Richards, Layton, and Finger law firm. Now, I already know what you're going to say. Hey, Candace, is that the law firm that's filing the paperwork for you? And the answer to that is yes. And I did not know that, no, until literally yesterday.
How scary was that? That the lawyers that she had to get for the Brigitte Macron case had to be in Wilmington, because that's where the Macrons filed the case. And her attorneys that she got to represent her in Wilmington, I switched looking before you even came over to tell me, are also owned and funded and surrounded by DuPont.
Okay, because Richards didn't sound to me like DuPont, so I had not put two and two together. As I was doing this episode talking about the DuPont family, I hadn't realized that the people that are filing paperwork for me, or rather the founder of that firm, the founding partner of that firm, who's since retired, is DuPont. It's the DuPont family. So makes sense, because as the people in Delaware are telling us, everything is DuPont. The Vanity Fair article continues. The heir to the DuPont chemical fortune, and to be clear, that is what they specialize in, chemicals that are used in war. We're going to get more into that later. Also admitted to sexually assaulting his infant son.
Jesus.
He was initially charged with 2 counts of second.
There's a documentary out on Netflix right now about one of the Lord and Lady's children. The lady passed away. The Lord died first. It's 2 twins, and the mother, I believe, is half French royalty. And yep, they traffic their children to all of their rich elite friends, pass them around. It's on Netflix right now. I cannot remember the name of it.
Degree child rape, which would have carried a mandatory 20-year prison term if convicted. Richards, again accused of raping 2 of his own children, was instead released on a $60,000 bail and eventually copped a plea deal that involved him admitting that he had abused his children, but received that lesser charge of 4th-degree rape. Okay. Now, the article goes on to tell us that this is hardly the first time that the DuPont family has found itself the focus of unsavory headlines. John DuPont shot Olympic wrestler David Schultz dead in the driveway of the family's mansion in 1996. 2 years later, the decomposing body of a Las Vegas prostitute was found stuffed in the air conditioner of a seedy motel. She was killed by 3 hired hands.
Interesting.
As Dominic Dunn reported in Vanity Fair, the money traced back to the DuPont family.
Interesting.
It appeared that Lisa Dean, who is a DuPont, didn't approve of her drug-addicted son dating a drug-addicted Vegas sex worker, so she and her husband, Christopher Mosley, had her killed. Both John DuPont and Mosley died.
You know, it's like Game of Thrones, right? Like, I said it the other day, we are watching rich men play rich men games. We're watching the wealthiest people on the planet compete with each other and take out what is in the way. And you have to think, when you become so powerful or so wealthy or both, to where you can get whatever you want whenever you want it, your sense of morals change probably. Odds are for the worst. Odds are you get a God complex and you've eaten the fruit of the Garden of Eden, of the tree of knowledge of good and bad. So now you are deciding for yourself what's good and bad, That's what's that. Look at this fucking braid, y'all. It's like, looks like it's on crack. It's wonky. I don't know what's up. My hair is trying to dry and it's shrinking. I don't know. That's why I need someone to braid my hair for me. Any ladies that braid hair, please hit me up, that are in the Jacksonville area or the Orlando area or Florida, or anywhere really in Florida except for Tallahassee and West to Ratchet.
In prison. Okay, great, cool. France in the story. We've got an alleged murder for hire. I guess not an alleged murder. It's not alleged. It's just murder for hire. We've got incest. We've got Jeffrey Epstein's ties to France. I'm just kind of noticing a theme here.
Jack just said it was John DuPont training camp Foxcatcher. He shot and killed one of the Olympic wrestlers. What? Oh, wait. This episode gets good, guys. Remember the burgundy shirts we were talking about the other day? I am an ex-military wife. So when I saw burgundy, my only regret is that I don't say what's on my mind quick enough and beat everyone and get ahead of the curve. My problem is they have a lot of self-doubt, and it turns out I'm always right the fuck on the money, because my ex was airborne infantry and his beret was burgundy.
Here, if you will, a theme here that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Because you should be feeling uncomfortable, especially if you're me, okay? And you find out, really, by the grace of God, that there was this plot to murder me, okay? I'm just not liking all of this coincidence. It's starting to feel like a conspiracy, if I'm being honest with you.
Girl,
and we should get back to our map now, because
here's the thing.
It's getting a little
Anybody that's supporting Candace right now knows we've already figured all this out before her. We just weren't able to get the proof because we're just nobodies. Thank God it's her, because she ain't a nobody. Now she's able to get the proof because she's famous, and people like us who've been awake for years and know how to connect the dots for her have been helping her. Now we just got to get her off of Catholicism. No offense to any Catholics. Honestly, big religion, Protestant or Catholicism is not. Spirituality is the way to go. You do not have to let go of Jesus Christ to be spiritual.
Squishy in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm feeling claustrophobic in Wilmington, Delaware, and I've never even been there. Okay? So here's our block. We got a couple of blocks here, and we told you yesterday we've got this FBI suite in this building that's actually owned by the Wilmington Trust at 500 Delaware Avenue. We've got Brigitte Lawyers at 919 North Market Street. Also in that building happens to be Stacey Sheridan's registered agent. That's Stacey Sheridan of Turning Point USA. We're going to talk about her in a second. We've got the Wilmington Trust actual location, which is at 1100 North Market. We told you about this crane, this red crane at 1100 North King Street, and that's Bracebridge Complex, which is supposed to house Insight headquarters, and they've got a French CEO. It's just a lot happening here. And again, now having a registered agent in Delaware isn't, you have an LLC. You're supposed to have a registered agent, and people tend to choose between Wyoming and Delaware, sometimes Las Vegas, to form their own corporations. But wow, what are the chances that Stacey Sheridan has a registered agent that's in that building too? Because I have LLCs, and I've got LLCs in Delaware, and I'm not even in Wilmington. There's a lot to choose from. It's a whole state. But Stacey Sheridan's registry agent is there too. People had noted, by the way, that she had a few LLCs, which she was getting paid through. It could all be above board. I don't really know. But the one I'm speaking about is Cloverstone Ventures. Stacey, by the way, is the senior advancement director at Turning Point USA. She was brought in specifically by Tyler Boyer to raise money.
The day of Charlie's televised memorial, and I thought she was Tabitha from Tabitha Takes Over, the salon show, where that crazy bitch was like, "You suck," and you guys, blah, blah. That's who I thought that was. And I just remember just feeling some kind of way. And Tyler, here we go. I'm just going to let her speak.
Money and to take Turning Point to the next level. And regarding Tyler Boyer, now we could say
hey, Daywalker.
maybe a couple of weeks ago that he's a criminal, but actually Donald Trump pardoned him. He pardoned Tyler Boyer a couple of weeks ago, so we can't, that's actually not real. He's been pardoned. But he is always up to no good. I can tell you that.
It's kind of crazy now to know like everything that's happened with Tyler Boyer. Dude, and all the people from Turning Point that are like fucking ratting on them. Oh my God, and it's crazy to believe. So Tyler Boyer, I think he got part. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. This is so hard to be quiet. It's just so hard to keep you guys in suspense. Oh my gosh.
And he brings in this Stacey Sheridan. I got to tell you, I did not like her at all. Just the vibe was off. I did not like her, and I expressed that to Charlie to his face when she was hired.
Here's when she was at the day that they did Charlie's memorial service. She looked terrified up on that stage. And somebody that acquires funds, does fundraising, which your girls had to do it. I ran for Congress. You can't be shot. You don't get rocked emotionally. You don't get thrown off your game. You don't look unsure of yourself in any kind of way. Like, you don't raise big money looking terrified. And I just remember thinking at the time, like, that's so kind of weird. And now that all this is rolled back around and all the evidence that's come forward and everything, I'm just like, what we were seeing was guilt and fear that someone looking in that camera that day was going to look at her and be like, she was part of this.
That's when I kind of notoriously said to him, you can't go down this path with money, okay? Because people that want to raise money and you're bringing people over with the incentive of just wanting a lot of money, you can run into trouble that way. Mm-hmm. Which is why I didn't feel great about the fact that she was so involved after Charlie's assassination. Stacey Sheridan is the one that was filming. Everyone was like, who's filming his casket? Mm-hmm. As it's being escorted off of Air Force Two, crying, holding that Stacey. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I just felt spiritually that Charlie hiring her was a mistake. She didn't pass my vibe check. Suddenly she's everywhere. She's eulogizing Charlie Kirk on stage. She is capturing intimate photos of his casket. She's then at the White House shedding tears over this fake holiday that's been created when I just want to solve actually who did this. And the whole thing was making my skin crawl, if I'm being honest. Her involvement specifically made my skin crawl, and I want to say that openly and honestly, okay?
I'm glad she said it, because I just thought the lady was weird. Something was off.
She's there in this squishy block. In this one block, we are all just chilling in Wilmington, right? And we would have never gotten to this block, by the way, had it not been for the Egyptian planes. Us simply tracking these Egyptian planes and somebody giving us a tip like, hey, kind of weird that's flying through Wilmington. And we go, aha, lights on. And here we are, right? We learn about this French and Israeli Ace Partners being the second largest shareholder of Satis. They decide to lease out this hangar. We learn that that requires federal approval because it sits on federal airways. And maybe that means it requires French approval. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know anything at this point except everything stinks to high heaven. Mm-hmm. And so I start asking myself, what do we all have in common? Why are we all just chilling in Delaware? That's what I'm trying to ascertain. What are we all doing over here near King Street? Who is the king? Right? Do we have some shared interest that I haven't seen through yet? And now would be the appropriate time for us to get back into that timeline
everybody who
because
just got here.
there is an important question that we forgot to ask. So let's jump into our timeline, beginning with the inflection point, which was that Tucker Carlson speech. Now, I want to say this on that July 11th when Tucker Carlson gave that
She
speech.
provides
I did, and I hope I'm not
a
betraying
whole
anything.
timeline. Okay. So she's talking about July 11th. She's been giving timelines. She's been giving all the things you need. Tucker Carlson, July 11th, speaks at TPUSA conference and donors freak out. He calls out Jeffrey Epstein, said that the people who serve in foreign armies should be stripped of their citizenship, and muses about where Bill Ackman's wealth comes from. Charlie's on camera telling Tucker to go max that day when it came to speaking about Jeffrey Epstein and Israel. Because Charlie was uncovering it was a Fed operation. Not a Fed operation. A foreign state operation in cooperation with our government to gain blackmail on leaders of all types.
Thing too private here, but I asked Tucker about that speech. I was like, what inspired you? I went back and watched it, and he's going hard, and he's talking about where's all this money coming from, and is this even a meritocracy? Like, why are people that are not impressive billionaires? What's happening in this country? I asked Tucker, what made you say that? And he said, I had no plan to say it. It just came out of my mouth. It was just inspired. It just came out of my mouth when I hit the stage. There was no plan. Charlie said goes max, and that is what Tucker riffs. And I do think that was a part of, there was something spiritual that moved him to say that. I will say that. Anyway, so that's July 11th. Tucker Carlson speaks at Turning Point USA's conference, and the donors freak out. He calls out Jeffrey Epstein. He says that people who serve in foreign armies should be stripped of their citizenship. He muses about Bill Ackman's wealth and where it comes from. We are told, even though we have not been able to confirm this with a shred of evidence, that it was 7 days later that the request came from to Turning Point USA from UVU's chapter, for Charlie to have this event. That's very late in the day already, but again, we see no proof of
what's
this.
What's going on, Haley?
We do know that right after that, our Egyptian yellow plane flies to Lincoln, Nebraska. And 2 days later, it is announced in Nebraska that they're going to be doing a trade and investment trip with Egypt. There was some private off-record meeting that took place to make this come to fruition. And there were international professionals that were there per the media. But who were these professionals that met with Secretary of State Bob Evnen?
Welcome, Jimmy.
Why is this meeting somehow off record? And when people, and they have done that, have requested information, they say, oh, there's nothing that's public that we can share with you. Thank you to, by the way, the citizens of Nebraska who did that. I received your emails, even if I was not able to respond. Anyways, then it departs Nebraska, our yellow planes, and it heads to Wilmington, and then it goes back to Cairo. We then know that in this same time frame-ish is when Charlie vacations up to Maine for a couple of weeks to be with his family, goes off radar. We've got Mikey McCoy and his wife, Eliza, that join them for the first time they're doing this joint family vacation, and Mikey's capturing these last videos that are going to warm our hearts about Charlie. And he's like amazing. That's just how he is. And on July 25th, Charlie speaks in Westchester, New York. At the end of July, this is a new little update for you. Y-Refi comes in as the #1 sponsor of the Charlie Kirk Fall Tour. So this is end of July, early August. And I'm wondering why they did that then, because that's pretty late in the day. You remember, this was something they freaked out about when I said, hey, this is not how Turning Point events are come together. They're not instant, actually. In the history of me speaking on college campuses and having headlined these tours, they are planning them at least a semester ahead. And then it was like mass panic. I got like Lila Rose and Ali Stuckey, who have never headlined their tour, suddenly saying, that's not true. That's not true. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm talking about I worked there. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was a weird thing to debunk. And I'm wondering, why was this put together so late in the day? And I am musing here, but I'm wondering if why Refi, after Charlie lost millions of dollars, said, hey, you can make that up by going on tour. You know, like are willing to do this. And maybe Charlie actually wasn't planning on going on tour at all. And this tour actually came together very quickly. I'm musing on that. I'm not introducing that as a fact. I'm introducing that as a question. Anyways, back to our timeline. Why Refi is going big, and they are going to be the main sponsor of this fall tour. And that's how that came together. Then we know that in very early August, Turning Point was scouting that location and that event, and they specifically requested for Charlie to be in that amphitheater. Now, apparently Charlie had done, according to some insiders, had loved an event that he had done in an amphitheater environment in Nashville. But I don't know if he said, I only want to do that going forward. But I do know that Turning Point USA insisted upon that. The person that was orchestrating that event, Macy Crofts, was saying, like, this is what Charlie wants. And that could be true. August 2nd is when we have our French Legionnaires arriving in America for a 3-week training session in California.
Because they never rushed it before. And if you had so like, here's what's important is this timeline she's laying out. Like, if you stick with the timeline, you'll see why the whole thing was rushed. So he has that Tucker thing. Okay. Why Refi becomes a sponsor. The school did not want Charlie to do the event in the amphitheater, but Turning Point insisted that it was the best location. August 2nd, the French Legionnaires arrive in America for 3-week training in California, which ends on the 25th. That training was called Operation Valhalla. I can't tell what date that is. I think 3rd through 4th was when he went to the Hamptons, and Bibi Netanyahu made that invitation to him to accept all that money. We know why. To take Turning Point to the next level. And then we will continue on.
It's going to end on the 25th. And then a couple of days later, we have that Hamptons retreat, which Charlie Kirk himself described as an intervention, as an Israel intervention. And influencers who were there said that he was being pressed on his shifting viewpoints on Israel. And we know that the influencers were paid for by Bill Ackman. But I don't think that that's particularly a big deal. Obviously, he has interests and was potentially coming on as a donor for Turning Point USA. We have what I do think is a big deal, which is Bibi Netanyahu calling Charlie and offering to take Turning Point to the next level. And that, my friends, is the billion-dollar question, maybe the trillion-dollar question. In exchange for what?
Because nothing is free.
Have we considered that? This man is fighting like a 20-front war, and he calls Charlie Kirk and asks, do you want to come to Israel? We can take Turning Point to the next level. In exchange for what and through who? Because I'm going to guess.
Right. Because don't forget, Bibi's not the president. He's the prime minister. I wonder who he's pulled in to make this offer for Charlie. Who is the power person? What do they want? Who are these Duponts? Blah, 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 blah.
Yes, that Bibi Netanyahu is not just going to write a check signed by Bibi Netanyahu and just do that as an act of charity. In exchange for what? What's he going to take Turning Point to a next level? This is something that nobody...
Maybe they wanted John, to participate in their sacrificing of the red heifer. All I know is I hope Charlie never touched that wall. And
He has denied took place. No one has denied that this took place. And Charlie declined. Charlie declined that offer. So what that signals to me is that Charlie then had information about maybe how they move money, right? Without registering for FARA. I don't know. I think that's a big question that needs to be asked. Let's keep going onto this timeline. Charlie says no, and almost immediately, 10 days later, we got our next point is that our planes come back out and they're flying to Lincoln again. They're going to Omaha. They're going to Wilmington.
Hey, Nick, welcome.
They stay for one night. Charlie speaks in South Carolina. We have our yellow planes then returning on the 24th, again, always through Wilmington to Egypt. We then have our French Legionnaires have completed their training. And on August 24th, 27th, Operation Valhalla takes place between civilians.
Remember, what did Kash Patel say to Charlie on TV? He was speaking code. He was sending a signal. He was like, see you in Valhalla. That was mission success. I can confirm to you the target is eliminated.
And military men in Minnesota at Camp Ripley. Then we have the first public sign that went out on August 27th. August 27th, that is so late in the day to begin promoting an event.
The reason why
TPUSA,
it really stuck out about the See You in Valhalla thing was, number one, do you even understand what you're saying? I am of Scottish and Viking descent. Do you understand what you are saying, sir? Charlie is a Christian. What do you mean, see you in Valhalla? Also, that is for warriors. You die in battle. So you would say, see you in Valhalla to a cop, a soldier, a Marine, a sailor, or someone that died some valiant death, saving someone's life, defending their home, defending a passerby, good Samaritan. I don't know. It was really odd to say, see you in Valhalla, because that is pagan.
UVU and a local BYU chapter share a graphic announcing that Charlie is coming to UVU, but there are no location details mentioned on that graphic, so still not full details, but at least the first announcement goes out. On the 29th, we have Operation Bright Star, which...
Now, if I die, y'all better say that. Over there, I've got Odin and Thor. Right above me, I have a painting I painted of Saint Michael, the Archangel Michael. And over here, I have Khal Drogo. I also have Horus. I have Isis. I have Jesus. I have Yahweh. I have Gaia.
Commences that joint operation that we told you about, which is biennial between Egypt and the United States military and other countries that are coming together. And it is being reported that it is going to run through to September 10th. On September 2nd, Charlie sends out the email asking for a Doge audit of his company. And he announces that Justin Strife is going to be the new COO, taking over for Tyler Boyer, who was the COO. And
did you guys see TPUSA is tanking? Like, it's tanking. Their viewership, the podcast, Charlie's show, is plummeted. The people are getting behind Candace. They're leaving TPUSA and they're getting behind Candace. And I am so offended at the behavior of TPUSA. I'm offended at Erica Kirk. She's at the helm. So what the fuck, Erica? What is going on? What are you guys doing? Because Charlie texted the night before, and you as his wife had to know this. He texted all the people closest to him and said he thought he was going to die the next day, and he did. They were going to murder him. This comes up because this is one of the questions she wants to ask TPUSA, and they won't do it in front of her. They're lying to everyone, making it look like she's the one declined. And go look at her page. She does everything as fast as she can. Her only job is her podcast.
we have the first known public going out in local media that Charlie's coming to town and that it is going to take place in the courtyard. That's on September 2nd, okay? On September 4th, our planes come in and we know what happens next. Charlie is in Korea for a couple of days. He comes back on September 10th and he gets assassinated. And that also happens to be the same day that Operation Bright Star, that Cairo joint operation, formally ends. Okay. So
remember the Egyptian planes. That's what exposed all of the French connection. Hang on, folks, because you don't forget. If you guys know your American history, the FBI was founded by the French. When the French helped liberate the colonies from Britain in the United States of America. Remember, that doesn't come for free. What did they want in order to help? Well, a relative of Napoleon Bonaparte founded our FBI. You guys couldn't have forgotten that. Come on now.
Timeline makes me uncomfortable. Okay? It makes me very uncomfortable. And I'm wondering if Charlie put together the Doge account, and I want to be clear, this part is speculation, because something that he maybe learned when BB asked to take it to the next level made him think maybe I should look through Turning Point's finances. Like, where is this money coming in from and where is it going?
When I was running for Congress, they did not want me. The first offer that came down the pipeline included the fact that I would not have firsthand access to my donations. And I was like, yeah, no. Absolute no.
And I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's a fair question, a fair investigative question, is what inspired Charlie to suddenly be concerned about not just where the money was going, but where the money was coming from. Was an offer made to him that he declined? Yes. What was that offer for in exchange?
Right, because nothing is free.
And I want to say this, Charlie said no. So Charlie died with his soul intact. Dying with his soul intact. He said no. He said no to a lot of money. But it was actually a tip that I received early on that pulled everything together for me in a really dark way. It was water cooler talk at Turning Point USA immediately after Charlie's assassination. A few people had signified and were speculating and thinking about things that were weird. And, you know, I told you we had so many people from Turning Point USA that were just venting in our tip box and telling us that they didn't like the way management was acting and things were weird. And there were just a flurry of things that were coming in. And a few of them had signified that one of the things that was being whispered about that people thought was quite odd that they learned that happened on the day of Charlie's assassination was a rumor pertaining to Justin Strife. An odd.
I am on YouTube, Kiko. Just look up Thirst Trap News. You can see all my previous episodes.
An oddly placed phone call that he made almost immediately, as they say. This is alleged. It wasn't on the phone call after Charlie was shot. And I will say allegedly because there's 6 people at Turning Point USA who have said this, that were talking about this. This rumor got passed around. They said that Justin had placed an immediate call to a donor prospect. And I said, that's weird. Okay. I'd like to know more about that. Can everybody try to figure out what donor that was? Now, it's possible it could have just been a very close donor friend. Charlie had them. He did. There were some donors that he loved like family members. And so that was a potential long shot thing, but just interesting. I'd like to know who he was so close to that required an immediate call. Then it turns out that these ladies told me that this donor actually had a pretty big piece of bait on the hook for Turning Point USA. A piece of their $1 billion company. They were anticipating some IPO and that this was going to be life-changing money. Okay? We're not talking like, oh, a check that's going to be reeled in for $5 million or $10 million or $50 million or like the $90 million that Turning Point USA raised in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. We are talking like billionaire money, potentially billions of dollars. And this was a very big secret, a huge secret. Just a handful of people were allowed to even know about this, that this was happening. In fact, there's probably people that are watching this right now at Turning Point USA who work in donations. I think it's a pretty large department that have no idea, have never even heard of this, because that's how incredibly top level secret this was. Okay. But people began to find out about this because of just an unfortunate conversation that had been left.
Kiko says the CEO of TP USA has been transferring 27 mil to a strip mall. Yes, she actually discusses this, and I'm playing 2 videos tonight, so I'm trying to move quickly.
Unattended to. Okay. Now, why was the secret supposed to be so guarded? Why is this person getting a phone call? I wanted to know. I wanted to know more. And I start messaging our mommy sleuths and our daddy sleuths and all of my sources at Turning Point USA. And I'm saying anything that you can tell me about this in case this might be important. And I got an answer on the name of a donor, and I had completely forgotten because, again, this happened so early following the assassination. I am talking before I even went to Wyoming. My brain was still traumatized. I had so much information that I was trying to process while I was grieving that I literally forgot the big part that I learned about this donor. I forgot. And these young women told me that this donor was French American and that this donor's name was Pierre. And it wasn't until yesterday, after we went off air, that I presented to you all of this stuff about the DuPont family, that it clicked. And these ladies messaged me and said, "Oh, you figured it out. It's Pierre DuPont. Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point."
Welcome, Jim.
I mentioned Pierre DuPont on yesterday's show. And this took my breath away. I will be honest. I cried really hard yesterday thinking, my goodness, how could I have forgotten that this donor.
Well, the Arizona governor, unfortunately, Arizona is very corrupt. TPUSA, I'm sorry, but there is no clearing things up for TPUSA. This is getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. So you can see why they pulled the acrobats they pulled to try to make it look like Candace was avoiding them. But I feel fucking so sorry for this girl, man. She's just a fucking homie that knows her homie is being lied about. And I hate that so many people are buying the narrative. It's the yacht club, old guard Republican voters. It's the boomers that are buying the FBI narrative that just refuse to accept the corruption inside the FBI.
Was French American, that was the big thing. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out that time because I hadn't even considered France's involvement in anything. Like, who do I know that's French and has tons of money and is involved in, and
I think the whole country is corrupt. Unfortunately, all these planes that were in the air the day that Charlie died tracked right back to Wilmington, Delaware, and the DMV.
And technologies, and could possibly be working on a big check that could be kept secret because it's about to IPO and billions are on the line, and it all kind of came together. And I would like an answer about this Pierre, the billionaire French American donor, and I would like a clean
Tuesday,
answer
so a lot
as to whether or not
then.
it is Mr. Pierre DuPont. Yeah. Because this would be a devastatingly dark story. And my sources are very sure that this is what was on the line, that this was life-changing money. And they are very sure that this individual got a phone call
is about the money,
after the assassination. And I think that we deserve to know. I don't think this should be a secret, right? Charity shouldn't be a secret. Why? And by the way, it leads to more questions. Like, how could you say that you knew that your IPO was going to lead to billions of dollars?
Well, John, you know what they do when the government wants a reset, they start war or civil war. So what are we going to do when we want the reset? How do we exact war on the establishment? How do we take war out on the uniparty, on the new world order, on the globalist agenda? How do we do that? Instead of on each other, how do we bring war upon our overlords? Because that is what is needed.
How could you promise that? How could you promise that? And did Charlie know?
John, I'm playing her video from tonight next. That's why I'm trying to hurry through this one.
Did Charlie know? And I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of billionaires, they don't part with their money like that. They don't part with their money and offer people pieces of their company, people that aren't even their family members. So why was that offer on the table? I have so many questions, and I'm going to ask.
The reality is the only thing that resets is collapse. So are you ready for that? I think the best way to be ready for it is to cause it ourselves. But some people think I'm extreme. America only. Gang, gang.
Them publicly, and I think that we demand answers. We should all be demanding answers, because this is now starting to feel very, very dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's too French, right? It's just too French. We
French
just
has always
can't all
looked
be
at
hanging
Americans
out in
like
Delaware.
piss-ons.
And there's one more thing that came in regarding Andrew Colvett. Very close family friend of Andrew Colvett had messaged me early on, and I again was not tracking any of this at the time, but they had said that they felt that Andrew Colvett was acting weird, and I'm sure that's not a big deal. I think we were all acting weird. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but moreover, they had mentioned that specifically Andrew had told them.
Ooh, John's hitting it. John's hitting it. The only way you can really fight back, one, you can't make more land. Our currency needs to be backed by gold, silver, oil, something tangible, not fiat currency.
That when Charlie said no to Bibi, he lost out on millions. Now I'm going to say allegedly because this is a tip, but I have that tip in writing. I'm not lying to you. And I thought to myself, that is so weird. How could the spokesperson at
John says voting would be the boomer answer. The grifter or truth bearer doesn't matter. Candace needs to be the center of attention. Is it clinically? Candace's need to be... No, I don't think she has a need to be the center of attention. I don't think you've watched a single video. Tim Pool is literally one of the biggest liars in this whole thing. And I don't think, Jonna, you have watched a single video by Candace. If you had, you wouldn't be saying this if you're an honest person at all. If you're an America first person at all. If you are an Israel first person, you are probably panicking in your fucking pants right now. And you probably want everyone to believe that Candace is an asshole. And you know what? This sister right here ain't never turning my back on this woman ever again, because she truly has a free mind, and she truly has broken free from slavery. Not black slavery. I'm talking about human slavery, but it helps that she's black. It helps.
Turning Point USA be on the, how could they be gaining millions from that? What is the structure here of these contracts that even people that are in PR, people that are like running PR departments are getting tips on the basis of donations?
Kiko, on one hand, I understand what Marjorie is going through. And then on the other hand, I'm like, you need to just trust Trump, because when he says, oh no, it's fake, he's positioning. He's positioning to drop a bomb, and you need to get out the way, you know? But yeah, Candace is on the fucking scent. She's on the trail. She's a bloodhound, and we just got to keep fucking supporting her, because the feds are the ones putting out the narrative that she's crazy and they found Tyler Robinson as the killer. And we all know it's a bunch of crock shit. It's crock shit. I look so native right now. Well, I am hyper mixed as a person, and I do have Blackfoot Native American, and I have 14% South Indian, 28% West African, and the rest, about 70%, is Scottish and Scandinavian and Mediterranean. So I'm literally the United Nations. If they were to be successful with peace, I would be the product, because I am like literally from every continent, in my blood, and my family ancestors come from a bunch of fuckers and fighters, and they loved beauty, apparently, because everyone on both sides of my family is like absolutely gorgeous. They're warriors. They all can go Donkey Kong, and I think I'm the queen warrior of them all in that family. I take the crown. Y'all know I'm literally titled. I am a lady. I am a lady of Scotland.
I don't know how this is working, but we need to figure out how this is working. I think it's really important that we learn the truth about what happened. Who's
Kona.
Pierre? Is it Pierre Dupont?
Kona, I'm just calling
and has
you
Turning
Kona
Point
for
been
short,
paid? Obviously, it wouldn't be
easier.
on this year's taxes. You're not going to find those on this year's taxes, but they would be on next year's. But we can ask now, and I'm asking now. And there's more I want to share, but we're going to take a brief break for sponsors.
All right, I can't play her sponsors because that's not okay. How y'all doing out there? How you feeling? What are you thinking about this whole thing with Candace? I mean, I hope that what this is helping you realize is that there's something deeply spiritually wrong. Okay. We can't run from it anymore. All the holy books are right. All of them. We will be entering the stage of Armageddon or the apocalypse or whatever you want to call it. Both words cover the spiritual, the religious, and the atheist and the agnostic. And you have to know, in our lifetime, we are going to see mass destruction. We're going to see the fall of at least the Anglo-Saxon world power, if not Armageddon. If it's the latter, I'm not too worried because I could deal with a reset here in the U.S. Jonna, I'm not assuming anything. I was just riffing off of your statement. It brought a lot of thoughts to mind. I'm not assuming anything about you. Just talking. Purple, by the way, says Alabama John said he wants to talk to you right now. He is also live on Rumble. Come by when you're free. Purple, please make sure you send me the link before the end of my show. You can let Alabama John know. I would love to come talk to him. To hit me up on Instagram. And this show, let him know that the show is, I got another Candace video, so it's another hour and 20 minutes. Do I still believe in the call for peace and security? Of course I believe in the call for peace and security. We should always strive to achieve that. It's just that we know that once we achieve it, the Bible says that is the trigger for Armageddon, the Great Tribulation and Armageddon. So we are living in the last days. Then we move into the Great Tribulation. Then we move into the peace and security. And then we move into Armageddon. So, it's like I'm for it. I want Armageddon to come in my lifetime. I'm ready to get bloody. Like, it is what it is, So let's continue on.
I'll ask the question, what are you guys doing today to protect your tomorrow? Because it seems like waiting until later is not really an option because we're already living in the later. You should consider adding gold.
Oh, John, if you only knew me. That is the only thing my life ever forced me to be in was dangerous freedom. I was born into a cult. So you want to talk about freedom and critical thinking and cognitive dissonance and the bravery to completely disavow your entire reality and reform a new one and be alone. Yeah. Charbel says, hi, beautiful. Hi, how are you doing? And hello, Jiki. I don't know how to say your name, but that's what I'm saying. Welcome.
Into your financial strategy, because if economies destabilize and the markets get
And Jonathan, no problem.
scared, currencies can lose their trust. I don't know. But Candace. There is such a thing as a good Fed. Believe it or not, there are good guys. There are good guys everywhere. You know, lightness is always fighting darkness. And I received an interesting tip from a Fed that I'm going to share with you now that might be relevant, but turning.
Charbel's asking, are you single? I'm not. I'm not single. Kona says, no, she's not. I already tried. Mwah. I love all of you. You're so sweet. Just please support me. My husband's really chill. Don't worry about it. You can stay and chill. Ain't nothing wrong with innocent love in the neighborhood, but keep it innocent and we're all good.
Turning Point USA put in a personal request to try to get the Egyptian plane story killed, you know, and I find that to be very interesting. What is it about these Egyptian planes that Turning Point USA didn't want them to be discussed? I don't know. But I am going to find out. I think we kind of have found out in a weird, really effed up way, actually. It makes my stomach turn. I'm going to miss Charlie. I really am going to miss Charlie.
You get a dichotomy with me. Actually, trichotomy or a quadotomy. I don't know how to say that. You can get funny. You can get the fiery Luna. You can get the sad Luna. You can get the happy Luna. You can get the sassy one. You can get the sexy one on Sundays. You know, there's a lot to me.
And I think when Charlie was assassinated, there was something about it. I knew that this story was going to be dark. Instantly, I knew that Charlie was betrayed.
Who is Luna Lopez? I ran for Congress. I am the daughter of the descendant of an American vice president who was a Mason, who was of the skull and crossbone type. My family defected from Freemasonry, got disowned, disavowed. I am a lady of Scotland. I am an American rebel, ungovernable dissentist who adores liberty and freedom in its truest form because I'm a spiritualist who loves nature. And I talk to God in my garden and at the beach and in a mountain and with the animals, and that is the witchy witch. I love Jesus. I acknowledge the divinity of many others. I am a free mind. I'm a black sheep. Sigma. Gang. America only. Hyah.
They laughed at me. Oh, you had a dream. Charlie told you he was, Charlie told me that he was betrayed. And I think part of the mourning was the grief that I was experiencing was in large part due to my understanding that this was going to be missional for me. I think I knew deep down that this was going to be missional. And I kind of knew deep down that the whole world was going to be against me, or I guess the whole dark apparatus was going to be against me, not the world. There are so many good people in the world that are the reason that I'm doing this and who understood instantly and felt instantly what I felt when this all happened. And I think it's sad because I was just reflecting on, I guess, really the last part of my youth, being ignorant and thinking that we lived in a country that was free and was fair and was a meritocracy, the excitement of me and Charlie in politics. Like, we were young bucks thinking that we.
Thank you, Ryan, for the donation. I appreciate it. I love the support. Asking others to do the same if they're enjoying the show. Good looking out. Appreciate you.
we're going to change the world because the MAGA movement offered us this opportunity to do it, right? We're going to get Trump elected and we're going to get people to stop talking about racism and sexism and to understand like family is a priority. And I realize now, and I know Charlie realizes now, that we did not see the evil that was around us. And I'm going to miss that youth. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to miss that young experience. I'm going to miss Charlie going on dates and the girls they liked and me always being the wing woman and him asking this text message.
Oh no, David, I'm sorry, but if you want to go over to Rumble, look up Real Luna Lopez over on Rumble. It's way better feed. All of you on Instagram, it's so much better over there. You should go join everybody on Rumble. Come check me out.
Is one of my favorite text messages between me and Charlie when he was getting ready to go on a date, and he didn't date many people, and he was just kind of in love with this girl, and he was asking me, should I wear this? And this is the text message. It's so sweet. He said, do I have to change this shirt? And I wrote back, yes, and throw it away if you can. Charlie, and he writes, okay. And he's wearing a Turning Point early shirt that somebody, I think, gave to him. He's stitched on. It's like, is it stitched on? Is it ironed on? I don't know. But I was like, Charlie, burn it. Obviously, burn that shirt. And it makes me, it's the stuff that makes me cry and makes me sad because.
Well, Jonna, that's why we need TPUSA to answer her questions and not circumvent her. They can very easily add her into the live that they planned. I don't know why they don't want to. They're being absolutely ridiculous. She addresses this. I think you should check it out. Regardless of like how I feel about Charlie Kirk or Candace or TPUSA, I, on my own accord, knew that story they were telling us was just bullshit. It's just, I hunt. There is, I'm telling you, I have never in my life, I've seen 50 or 130-06 shots into flesh. And I'm telling you right now, you would not see that clean. You would not see that clean. So there's just a lot of things I just did. I was like, this is not. We just watched Trump they tried to assassinate him. How many assassinations have we seen publicly? We knew with any other public assassination, it is a hit job. Why is it so different with Charlie Kirk? It's not any different. And so, I'm just here to watch this play out because she's saying a lot of things about government that I do already know to be true because I woke up a long time ago and I've gone down a lot of these rabbit holes. So, Jonna, the only thing I could tell you is go back to square one in her first live video about this and just binge it and just stick with it and watch. You've got to do it. If you care about TPUSA, or even if you don't like her, just to see how wrong she is, you need to start from square one. But where I agree with Candace is I am America first. Only. I'm awake about Israel. I'm awake about Ukraine. I'm awake about everything that's already gone on. And yeah, we need to wake up and stop getting a hard on for giving people money like it makes us feel good. Like, oh yeah, we did that. Nah, we need to stop. Give our own people the money.
He just was so young. Charlie was so young and he was such a good person. And I'm also going to miss the young conversations that you have when you're vibing with someone and you're speaking about things that you don't understand. As you were coming up in politics, I always felt like an alien. We would have these discussions with donors and we'd have discussions with people or people would do stuff. And I would just tell them all the time, Charlie, I'm an alien. I am new on this planet. I don't understand this. I don't understand double speak and, contracts and people threatening to sue.
John,
it doesn't make sense to me.
I haven't seen the round tests on YouTube, but I've shot almost every type of rifle there is. I'm trying to think. Outside of extreme stuff. I mean, I've probably shot them all. And I just know My instincts, I'm like, there's no way that's what it was. I could see a 9mm doing that. I could see a 9mm creating a garden hose of blood in the neck. I could see that.
Private alien. And Charlie always said he felt like he was a time traveler. And this is a conversation I would say, I'm an alien. I just messaged him from across the globe. And he said, I think I'm a time traveler. This is my home. He felt like Earth was his planet, but I think you found me and time traveled with me. Like the kind of friendship where you can talk about being a time traveler and feeling like an alien, as I've always felt like it, because I don't get it. I don't get the rules of this planet. I don't get the betrayal, the backstabbing, the people that dance for money. It's never made sense to me. From the time I was a kid, I just felt out of place. And I am out of place in politics. I will tell you that, because this is what it's all about, right? Selling your soul to the devil. And I don't want to do that. Anyways, that's just going a long way
puts it all
of me saying that I'm
together.
going to miss
Once you
the
make it
ignorance.
to a certain point, it's either join the club or get the fuck out. Join the club or you're dead. You know, that's what it is.
Our political youth thinking that it could be fair, thinking that we could just work hard, thinking that we could run a company, that we could launch this revolution where people were going to be happy in the future because America was the land of the free. I had to mourn that. Now I realized, and as I have expressed, that this is missional. Charlie knew he was going to die young, but there was more that were in those now seemingly prophetic text messages that I was unwilling to share at that time. But I am going to share that now. When he was speaking about his death and the visions that he was having in April of 2018, he also said some other things. He didn't just say that he was going to die. He didn't just say that turning point was going to be the death of him, but he also wrote this. This is on April 13th. He wrote this. He wrote, "Ish like tonight is what I have foreseen. This won't result in anything. I'll give you the context in a moment. But in our lifetime, we will experience real war beyond anything that we can fathom, absolute and total destruction." Now, for historical reference, what was going on that week involved, of course, France, right? America, France, Israel, the Middle.
John, you and I should have you should come on my podcast because I ran for Congress and we could chop it up about all the establishment tactics and what they do to you to keep you out. John Garcia, hit me up, send me a DM.
Middle East, Syria, Russia, and this is the Syria before Israel and the United States overthrew Assad. What was going on was the United States and France were carrying out a series of military strikes involving an aircraft and these ship-based missiles against multiple government sites in Syria. And the official reason that we were told was because the Syrian government had apparently chemically gassed their own citizens, something which Assad had strenuously denied. In effect, if Assad was telling the truth, and I believe he was, because I think there's a war on Christians that's happening, then the West and the United States were implicated in part by a false flag attack to justify a larger military justification. That's kind of something the West does a lot, right?
Yes, it is.
False flag attack.
Who follows that same plan? Israel. And we keep fucking falling for it every time they come going, "Daddy, can I have $20 to go to the movies with my boyfriend?" No, you can't. Sit the fuck down, be quiet, go to your room and think about how you've been. No money until you behave. That's how I feel about it, Israel. You're already throttling me. Is it because I said another word about another platform? You're throttling me right now. Just bullshit.
Get the media going. We have to respond. And then we just sort of take land. Yeah, that's what we do. Now, France had said in a statement on that morning on April 14th that France's red line had been crossed. Mm-hmm. So this was a story which Charlie said, this is not the thing that's coming, but this is a preview of the thing that's coming. Missiles, false flag attacks, chemicals.
Oh, I just realized something. Y'all, this is probably why I look native today. So this is an Aztec piece I'm wearing, but it's in the colors of my Scottish tartans, the red and green. So.
And the Middle East, America, France, and Israel, it is something. It is something, right? This was the vibe of something that Charlie felt was going to happen in the future. Something Charlie and I used to always say, I told you that the rest is future. I think we are in the rest right now. We are approaching that future right now.
She's got
and I didn't
it.
feel it then in 2018, but I feel it now. I've been telling you guys, I've been having a lot of dreams. And the dread that Charlie felt in 2018, I have been feeling. I felt it leading up to Charlie's assassination. I pulled my children out of school. I was having this dreams and visions about bees and organization that was happening in America. I have a sense of dread that a lot of these events that are happening, these inexplicable events like the Malibu fires, these sort of coastal events, the Texas floods, that this is not happening by accident, okay? I have a feeling of a sense of dread that the Fed is taking from Americans right now, and that we are.
Reality Pocket, good to see you. Yes, I did learn that today about that, so I will be doing that. And make sure, Reality Pocket, you email me at thirsttrapnews@gmail.com so I can send you my autographed show notes for winning the first fan of the show contest. And I will be announcing one tonight too. So
we're heading toward war. Okay. I'm going to share that. I feel that we are headed toward war, that they want war by any means necessary, and that you need to be, wherever you are in the world, fully dialed into that. Okay. We can't be stupid this time. We cannot believe what the media is telling us. We cannot believe what the government are telling us. We cannot believe whatever it is, whatever attack that's going to happen, and we're going to be told that it was this guy. We have to start to recognize the pattern of things, okay? The predictive model of this is my red line, then the red line gets crossed and people are denying it. And what happens? Christians are mass slaughtered every single time. Propagandize people, Christians in the East to hate Christians in the West. And there's just less of us by the end of it. And these things tend to happen, world wars, when they want a reset because people start waking up.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to express that to you, that I feel that we are reaching that brink right now. And you need to prepare for that. And feels like an almost inevitability because wars are planned in boardrooms, okay? In boardrooms. You're going to send you and your children and your sons, but they are not going to fight. And I don't love a scenario right now that's happening where we have envoys being sent to Russia and Israel and everybody's meeting all of it. It feels like something's coming. And I know that you probably sense that dread too. Turning our attention to Turning Point. Did you know, I learned this from one of our sleuths, that Turning Point might potentially now be becoming a real estate empire. Apparently, Tyler Boyer has a younger brother who for 10 years has worked in dental sales until Charlie died, because a unique opportunity presented itself at Turning Point USA, where Tyler had begun telling people that TPUSA plans to roll out a program to build houses for first-time home buyers. They're going to use Turning Point USA's position and audience to market this idea of new homes. And the marketing pitch is that Charlie preached to young Christians about how school and universities was a waste of time, and that it was a waste of money, and that they should get married early and they should start their lives and they should have kids. But he never really taught them how or what they should do next. So they are planning to leverage Turning Point USA's position with young Christians as a captive audience to build and sell houses. Okay, that's what the person told me, and I checked that out. They presented some proof of that conversation happening. And I think that's interesting. I think we should share that.
Have a good evening, John.
And I know I'm sure that that's probably what Charlie wrote. He apparently had a 15, 20-year plan, according to Frank Turek. Or was it Rob McCoy? Rob McCoy said that, I think. I think they all said it, honestly. But Rob McCoy did say that. He kept this in his notebooks. And so a real estate empire could be on the brink for Turning Point USA. Amazing. That really is something. Anyways, you guys, we are going to take another break for our sponsors, and then I will get into some of your comments.
I love the fact.
All right, you guys, whether you are struggling with
people are snitching, people can't live with this. I love it. I mean, the next video, get ready. It's going to be freaking explosive. It's coming up. It's like I have everything to say and nothing to say all at once. It's so much. And you just have to go back. You have to go back to the beginning and watch everything. Watch her organically discover evidence, reach out to people, watch the video footage, and then also go back to her investigative series on Brigitte Macron. It really is like divine that Charlie is a martyr and that Candace is figuring this out and that she is the antihero. This is going to go into the holy books written after Armageddon about people like her that fought, that are literally single-handedly taking down the system. But it's going to matter how we respond to it, if it's going to work. Like, she can't do this alone. And understand where the psyops are at. Nick Fuentes, come on. Do some research on him. He's been so against Israel, and now with this, with Charlie Kirk, with this, he wants to support them and say, no, it's not them. And yes, I believe everything the FBI is saying, and I totally think it's Tyler Robinson. And what? You were such a pariah. Now you're falling in line. What are you doing? I knew he was too bold and too white. See, he's lucky. His last name's Fuentes because it got him under the radar. Because guess what? He's half Jewish, folks. I'm probably your only, me and MTG are probably your only actual real hardcore America only people. You can call me an extremist. I really don't give a fuck. Like, I don't. You can call me a fascist. You can call me a Nazi. I don't care. I care about America more than anyone else. Ben Shapiro is a condescending son of a bitch who thinks that you and I, the Goyim, are beasts to be dominated. And Nick Fuentes and Ben Shapiro, you didn't see, like, phenotype wise, they're the exact same types. They look alike. They're just styled slightly different. You could just see that, like, European Mexican descendancy in Nick Fuentes for sure, but he's got the same square face, the same kind of like nasally voice that they all have, like Fran Drescher. They all have that like nasal like sound to like their voice, like a certain type of Jews box, which I have no problem with the ethnicity of Jews, and the culture is kind of funny. Like, honestly, my favorite comedians are all Jewish. My husband has like the funniest sense of humor. And I told him one day, I'm like, I bet you're part Jewish. He's like, nah, why? And I'm like, well, Cuban, number one. And then, like, number two, like, your kind of sense of humor is, like, fucking hysterical. And you do, like, gaslight, like a pro. We did our, like, little DNA thing. And sure enough, he's got some in him. I was right. And it was to no surprise why I'm, like, punchy in Donkey Kong, because I'm, like, Scottish, Scandinavian, Nigerian, South Indian. Yeah. The sexy part of me came from the tiny little sliver of Greek that I have in me. Those horn dogs over there. My goodness. The smut that comes out of Greece. Yikes. Stripes. John says it's as serious as Bill Cooper. Nick is my favorite Canadian. LOL. There's things that he says I agree with, like shutting down immigration. I agree with that. I do. But I think he was fed up to faction up the America First movement. Make sure that the Donald Trump MAGA Israel supporters are collected in one area and the Donald Trump America First people are in another, and then we need to go attack them and make sure that they show their loyalty to Israel. And if they don't fall in line, this is what we will do, like what they did to MTG. And I'm a little irritated with Trump over MTG. She was blindly loyal to him. But because she said we shouldn't be funding Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, or any of the lot of them now, and she wanted the Epstein stuff revealed, now she's a traitor. But you know what he's saying? I get him. He's boomer, old, like elder boomer. She needs to show loyalty to him because I'm not going to tell you everything I'm doing. I need you to be loyal to me no matter what, because you don't understand what I'm doing. You may disagree with me, but I need you to trust the process. And that's where Trump's coming from in terms of loyalty. He wants them to trust him because he can't risk leaking any of his poker moves out. It's just you got to trust your instincts and lean on the divine and let the chips fall where they may. The divine will put you where it needs to be. Some that may mean being Trump's friend and then not. But you just got to pray and you got to do everything to further the kingdom of God. Jonna says, I loved her going after dildo dickhead Smooley and her Kamala ancestry investigation and Lady Man Macron. Absolutely. Candace is a savage. And I don't think anyone should agree with everything anyone says. I think we should all question everything anyone says. You should question me. Don't believe what I say just because whatever reason you have. Listen to why I feel the way I feel. Look at what I'm looking at and then come to your own conclusions. But you shouldn't blindly agree with anyone at all. Trump is up against a bloodline, and I think it probably can get confusing on when to fall in line and when not. I think he deals with that back and forth internally. Like, I'm sure it could be hard to know what to do. Hi, Sterling Gunter. I don't know how to say your name, but hello. Now, before we dive into the second half of tonight's revelation, I want to take a moment and speak to you not as a commentator, not as a political analyst, but as someone who understands energy, intention, and the unseen forces that shape our world. Because what we're dealing with right now, this isn't just political corruption. This isn't just a bureaucratic cover-up. And this isn't just treason. This is spiritual warfare. And I need you to feel the weight of that. Assassinations aren't just actions of violence. They are rituals of control. They are offerings made by the wicked to maintain power over the innocent. Let me say that again. They are offerings made by the wicked to maintain power over the innocent, selling your soul to the devil. Look into the Egyptian god Thoth. Those pyramids, have you seen the latest information that's come out about the pyramids and how they weren't tomb storage? They were devices used for power. They generated power for some reason. Different pyramids for different reasons. So Thoth regenerated. He's an astro god crash landing on Earth, mining gold, wanting to get out of here. The pyramids were to get them out of here. And also what Thoth did was he used two pyramids to generate and regenerate bodies that he liked and transferred his consciousness between these human bodies, That's how he stayed in power in Egypt for 25,000 years during the Babylonian Empire. The Masons, the Freemasons, okay, that have founded the United States, you know what the big gig is, and I'm saying this over public airway. Let's see what happens. But I'm part of the bloodline. They disowned us. They disavowed us because we defected. The Masons give human souls via human trafficking to the god of this system of things so that this god can stay alive, maintain power in exchange for technology. Do your research. There's your rabbit hole. Congratulations. Go down that one. Assassinations aren't just acts of violence, as I said. This ritual of control, it's a real thing. Every time a truth teller is silenced, every time a voice for the people is cut down, darkness tries to claim a little more territory. And look around, it's everywhere. It's in our institutions, it's in our media, and it's in the people pretending to lead us. A dark black tar. It's not random, it's not accidental, it's intentional, coordinated, and ancient. You can feel it, can't you? That pressure in the air. That heaviness behind the headlines, we've all been feeling it. I mean, we're hunting down every conspiracy, the blob in the ocean, the timeline jump by CERN, solar eclipse, aliens. I mean, Tic Tacs. We know something is up. We know something is incoming. It's that sense that morality itself is being twisted, inverted, and weaponized. Because evil doesn't show up wearing horns and breathing fire. Evil shows up wearing a suit, carrying a badge, speaking in soft bureaucratic tones, while performing acts of spiritual violence behind closed doors. Wolf of Wall Street, and then on up the pyramid. And that's what this is. This is not politics. This is a battle between truth and deception, between light and shadow. This is literally them struggling to maintain access to their desires, to their impulses, their needs. We're waking up and they are having to pull out all the stops to stop the narratives, cut the blood supplies off to your waking up, because their playground is falling between their grasp. It's slipping between their grasp like water between your fingers. Try to grab a fistful of water. That is what they're doing right now. And public assassinations seem to be becoming more and more mainstream. It's really trying to scare us. And that's what this is. It's not politics. It's a battle between truth and deception, light and shadow, between the people trying to save this country like Candace Owens, who they are calling a literal demon right now, and the forces trying to suffocate it and her. Do not be a part of that narrative. You don't owe them anything. The only thing you're doing is giving them your free thinking and your mind. The influencers that are all saying Candace is crazy are following a narrative and a script. Pay attention closely because they're saying the same things. You can tell. If you have watched every live she has, you can see the script. These influencers are bought and paid for. You can tell in my numbers I should be skyrocketing. I'm not bought and paid for. They're trying to keep my growth slow. But the truth is pushing me. And the enemy doesn't fight fair. The enemy hides. The enemy manipulates. It silences, it confuses, it distracts, and the enemy kills. Right in front of you. Streamed into your palm. And we just sit and bicker between each other going, I don't know. I think she's crazy. I don't think she's crazy. It's to keep you from doing the actual detective work yourself in masses decentralized, all of us at once. But the fact is, you're still here, watching, listening, searching, which means something powerful. It means that the light is not done. It means that the truth is not surrendered. And it means that something in your soul knows exactly what's going on. This moment in history is not just an accident. It's a test. It's a test on all of us. It's a calling. It's a separation. The sheep from the goats. We are watching the false fall away. We're watching evil expose itself through its own arrogance. We are watching the masks come off. The very institutions that pretend to serve us while feasting on our freedom. And I need you to remember, every great spiritual battle in history began with people waking up to what was really happening behind the curtain. I mean, shit, America wouldn't be here if it wasn't for such a notion. You're awake. You're seeing it. You're not alone. So take a breath, ground yourself, anchor in that truth. Because in the second half of tonight's show, we're not just revealing corruption, we're unraveling the spiritual mechanics behind it. And once you see it, you're not going to be able to unsee it. So I'm going to play this next video from Candace. I am going to eat food while I do this. I'm deciding. So I'm going to mute my mic and we're going to keep.
With credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation.
We can't play that, so sorry.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. I'm going to ask you a question. It's actually a riddle that we're all familiar with. What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's what's on my mind. That's what's on my mind really all day, because yesterday we were explaining to you guys this sort of random coincidence, maybe not a coincidence, of the FBI seemingly choosing to work in offices that are kind of being run by like French royalty in essence, right? These old French American families. Now, why would our FBI do that? Surely they would have been aware that they were choosing to work in buildings that might potentially have some foreign interests. But then you know what? It clicked. The chicken came before the egg. Of course, don't be ridiculous. That's the answer to the riddle. LOL to the American history that's taught to us in the public schools. The French helped to establish the United States. They came over and they helped us win our big independence from the big bad Brits. And then what? They just left us alone. It was just an act of charity. Like, we're good. We want nothing in return. We just want you guys to be free. Does that make sense to you? Come on. Turns out actually, and you may have known this, maybe I'm just American ignorant, but our FBI was founded by the French. In theory, the FBI really is in France's building over in Wilmington, if you think about it, for a long time. And I have been thinking about this for a long time. So welcome back to Candace. Go nowhere, because I actually want to begin this episode with a comment from yesterday's episode, because, you know, we ran that poll wondering whether or not the public agreed with me about my lawsuit, me being filed by Brigitte Macron, me being sued by Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron, and whether or not it was just one big federal setup meant to bankrupt me. And here is an answer that we got in the comment section. Look at this. I believe that the purpose of Macron's lawsuit was that it was supposed to go nowhere because Candace was supposed to have been assassinated before the case got to court. Then they could forever claim that Candace was lying, which is evident by the fact that they were suing her for quote unquote defamation before someone one had killed her. This was their plan, but I pray that it has now been foiled. I had never considered that, and that hit really deeply, and that is a dark thought. And I think now I'm wondering, I have a lot of questions. Everything feels different in this post-Charlie Kirk world. Where to begin? How about we should talk about the founding of America? Because man, those Catholic priests that I was telling you about, they were unbelievably correct. I told you guys a long time ago how when I was considering whether or not I should be Orthodox or Catholic, but I knew that I was sort of done with Protestantism, I had been taking instruction from these priests in Europe and in the UK. And one of the fathers is a real bookworm, right? Kind of this cantankerous Englishman, no time for the American education system whatsoever. And he said to me quite famously, "You Americans know nothing of your own history. Your country was founded by Freemasons." And that just kind of permanently now echoes in my ear because boy, was he right.
Literally
a war that had
screaming
been
that the whole time. Like, oh my God. Nobody knows. It hasn't clicked to anybody yet.
in sort of waging across Europe for centuries had then
Hey, everybody who
spilled
just
into
joined.
America. It
Hope
was
you don't mind
largely
I'm eating my
a
dinner.
spiritual war. It was really a theological war. That's what I'm starting to realize. That's why
Okay.
America never really
Just got in, Rob. This is her latest one from today. It's gold.
had an appetite for Orthodox or Catholicism because the Catholics and the Orthodox have kept history. They know what was going on in Europe, not the fake history that's packaged and sold to Americans. They know what the Freemasons
Okay, Candace. Like, let's not pretend that Catholicism isn't biased.
were up to. Freemasons who caused all of those revolutions against really the Christian empire across Europe. The idea really, I now think, is keep Americans fat and dumb and drugged and propagandized, right? And then when we need to, use their men to mass murder other Christians overseas. That's the big picture that I'm beginning to see.
From a few hours ago,
All of this to say, did you know that our FBI was founded by Charles Joseph Bonaparte?
Ryan. Oh my God. I asked you to load up the second video. Pull the second video up. What are you doing? Just a minute, guys.
Well, that has never happened before. I guess we could. All right, you guys.
Okay, now I got the correct video up. This is the one from today.
Guys, happy Monday. I am here. And I got to tell you, Charlie Kirk discussing the JFK assassination, that sure is something. If you haven't yet seen this clip that's making the rounds, we have it for you. And it makes it kind of hilarious, even more hilarious, that the very organization that Charlie Kirk built is trying to sell to the public that the very idea of a government-sanctioned assassination is crazy. And on that point, another interesting lead has come in regarding the potential French connection, regarding which I should mention that Kash Patel has been directly asked about their potential involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And his answer, his reply to that question is stunning. I should say, actually, it's a non-answer. So welcome back to Candace. What do you guys think Charlie Kirk would have said about his own assassination? Just think about that. What would his perspective have been on everything that we are currently being told, the people that are being attacked about it? I think about that actually often, and listening to his perspectives regarding political assassinations of the past in retrospect really is something. So at one of his, honestly, one of his last events in May of this year, Charlie was directly asked his opinion regarding John F. Kennedy's assassination down in Dallas. And here is what Charlie had to say.
In the JFK files, Mossad is mentioned. One of the reasons why Mossad is mentioned so much is that they're just a very good intelligence operation. It was not mentioned as if they were tied or that they knew about it or that they were involved. Again, I think the best reading of what happened there is who wanted JFK dead the most.
So where was that chef guy, Anthony Bourdain, found dead? Question.
Again, a lot of people said Israel wanted JFK dead. I'd love to hear that argument. But definitely Lyndon Baines Johnson and parts of our own government and the Cubans wanted him dead. And who actually made it happen? There were like 15 or 20 things that happened that day that were inexcusable. They changed the parade route. He rode in an open air convertible. LBJ decided not to ride alongside of him. The vehicle slowed down right when it went by the Texas School Book Depository. A lot there, right? And then, again, I think that all of us are smarter to believe that it was simply Lee Harvey Oswald. The more important question is not, oh, who did it? We have to first acknowledge it, that
Like
more than
it was
one person
simply
did
Tyler
it.
Robinson,
Once we acknowledge
right? Just so much easier. And just laid it all out for us in text message, exactly what the plan was.
that more than one person did it, then we can expose our government to have lied to us about the JFK assassination, which then I think will sober a lot of us about trusting the government in the future.
I mean, yes, all of that. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for reminding us that you had common sense, that you didn't accept force-fed narratives, that you did not accept the BS crap that our government has sold us regarding the one individual that was involved in JFK's assassination. Of course, multiple people were involved and a lot of strange things occurred on that day. That is what makes his answer there so compelling.
Thank you, Rob. I thought it was France. In his hotel room, Jack said, in the Le Chambord Hotel in... I'm not liking France. I'm not having good feelings about France, friends. I always thought French looked down on Americans anyway. They always just have this attitude at us.
Okay? Especially in the midst of, well, MK Ultra 2.0. Remember the first government psyop on the people, MK Ultra. What actually came together? Sorry, I should say Mockingbird 2.0. The first government psyop on the people following JFK's assassination, Mockingbird 1.0, to convince everybody through influence that there was nothing to see here, even though there was so much to see there. And now it's being deployed again, Operation Mockingbird 2.0, to convince people that questions about the Charlie Kirk narrative are just crazy, right? How dare you consider that they're...
Thank you, Data. I appreciate you. You're so awesome. Thanks for the subscription support. I love you to pieces. I appreciate it. Nice. He gave it to Reality Pocket and Jonna. What? Data gave you a subscription to my channel.
May have been employees at Turning Point USA who could be engaged in an obvious cover-up at this moment. Well, Pastor Frank Turek says that's so crazy because that would mean that Charlie Kirk hired people that ultimately betrayed him. And no one's ever been betrayed by people that they trust in the history of the world. Okay, well, actually, maybe that did happen for Jesus Christ. That's just one historical example of a person surrounded by somebody that they trust who would ultimately betray them. And yes, JFK, who personally selected Lyndon Baines Johnson to be his vice president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was clearly implicated in JFK's assassination. Charlie rightfully says that is obvious by now. So yeah, it's all very plausible.
Oh,
and
man.
Charlie, you can see, does not readily dismiss the idea that the Mossad may have been involved. He says he'd like to hear more of an argument on that,
Because
as he asserts
Charlie
that
had
definitively
critical
parts of
thinking.
our government.
You're not going to just automatically be like, man, no. I mean, unless he's tested it already. Yeah, friends. Look, Charlie is not going to choose. If Charlie's so spiritually connected, wouldn't you expect his best friend? Wouldn't you expect him to choose a best friend? Naturally become best friends with someone who's also spiritually connected? I mean, these two were joined at the freaking hip so much that we didn't think they weren't dating. I think he has a good judge of character. And I think she's right the fuck on the money. Hey, AJ. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate you. And not caring that I ate my dinner now. I missed you. I always love the super sweet support. All right, let's keep going. Data. Make sure you is there a way that I can chat with you? There's no way to direct chat with each other, right? Or is there? Yeah. No, I'm not sure. Is there a way I can message you directly and it's not in the public chat? Data 12 on Rumble.
Had to have been involved. And he says the Cubans, the commies, wanted him dead. Charlie is encouraging the inquiry further.
So I used to do this thing when I was younger with my best friend Mike, where everything was lay whatever. So now this whole French thing is bringing it back. Lay commies.
Who wanted JFK dead the most? Okay, well, we should continue down that path. Who wanted Charlie Kirk dead the most and why? And Charlie was very much in the political fast lane. Okay, and in the political fast lane, they want you dead for really one or all of these three reasons: money, secrets, and or power. We know that Charlie said no to money right before he died. I think that means he probably knew a secret right before he died. And there is no doubt that
I think it's all of the above. I also think it helped. They believed that it helped their cause for her to watch him get whacked on I say TV. I'm so old, but I don't even know what to call it anymore. I'm just going to call it TV, and I think it sends a clear message to her and Tucker. So I think it was just kind of all of it. It's just, I'm glad I'm no longer agnostic or I'm glad I have found my place in the spiritual universe before all of this came to fruition, because this is so clearly divine orchestration to me. All of it. I don't believe in coincidences. And she has too many coincidences, and so does Erica Kirk. And come on, Erica, this is so, what are you allowing to go on? If I was his widow, having all this being said, I'd be like, nope, we're handling this right the fuck now. Everybody get in a room. You sit there and you sit there. I would be not just watching with popcorn. It's weird. It's weird. And TPUSA is looking dirtier and dirtier the whole way through. Okay, so Reality Pocket and Data. I'm going to put my email right here. Y'all, please send me an email. Uh, actually, you guys can add me on Snapchat. So it's same username, Real Luna Lopez. And just anybody who wants to add me, you can add me there. But Data and Reality Pocket, make sure you add me on Snapchat. I can. Oh my God, I just had a burp escape. Ladies burp too, you know. I will make sure to respond to you guys, or on Instagram, Real Luna Lopez. Add me there, and I know that I can get the information to you that I need to get to you.
His youth political organization had achieved a considerable amount of political power. Could there have been global implications? Of course. People
I agree, Rob.
are laughing. They've been laughing this entire time because
Not me,
just
baby.
following the evidence
I've had
of
your
what
back.
transpired on that day. A lot of odd things that transpired on that day, just like on the day of JFK's assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that pointed us into the direction of a particular satellite of countries and continents that have somehow come up in this investigation. I'll paint that for you now. Yes, we have mentioned France. Yes, we have mentioned Israel. Yes, we have mentioned the United States government. And yes, we have mentioned Egypt, which is in Africa. Wow, that seems crazy. People also laughed when I said that there was thereafter a viable threat, which came from the Macron couple who apparently paid for my assassination. And yet, strangely, neither the Pentagon nor the White House or our intel agencies or the Elysee Palace are disputing that narrative. And now we can add officially the FBI to that list of agencies that aren't denying that threat because Kash Patel.
AJ, I'm about to spank you. I keep telling you, you need to watch all of this. She's not gone too far. She is spot the fuck on. I'm telling you, you need to look at all of it. Go to square one on her page. Cross-reference everything. She is not, the woman is spot on. They're making an anti-hero situation. Of course they have to vilify her. She was his best friend if they're going to pull this off. You can't tell me that what happened wasn't a broad daylight. Come on. It has the signature moves of everything we already know. JFK, come on. We don't need to go down the whole thing. She is the best. You'll rile me up, AJ. You'll rile me up. You need to go watch everything and then come back and talk.
Elle recently gave an interview to Megyn Kelly, and like an actual journalist,
No, she's
and
not. She's
a QT.
exploring stuff real time. She goes back and corrects herself. I know you haven't watched it all, if that's what you're saying.
We see influencer like Cam Higby. Don't laugh. Megyn Kelly asked him directly about the Macron couple and about the allegation that
You're right, Jack. I do know. You know, some of us know. Some of us really actually pay attention to what Luna puts out and how Luna puts it out. Y'all know I know. Y'all know I know what's up. I know what's up.
that they attempted to orchestrate an assassination on my life, and of course, whether or not they could have been involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, which I have said, right? Here is what Kash Patel says in response, or rather what he doesn't say in response. Take a listen.
Oh, I caught the same thing.
An allegation made by
when I saw
prominent
this.
podcaster Candace Owens that she's received a death threat, a credible death threat from.
Okay, so I saw Megyn Kelly's interview with him, and I picked up on the same thing Candace picked up on. I was like, "What? Answer the damn question! This is not a congressional hearing. This is someone's life. Answer the fucking damn question."
The French, that a threat has been made on her life, and that the French, she's been told,
of course,
also may have had a
John,
role
you know.
in
That's why
Charlie's
people like me
assassination.
out here
Have you
like,
looked into either of those? Do you believe she's received a credible?
To escape a real multi-million-dollar cult, you have to have critical thinking on deck. I got out of a generational curse in two different ways, politically and religiously. And I'm telling you, I know a psyop when I see one. There's been good breeding in my family. It's a long story, but we just didn't get down with the cult. We didn't get down with the cult shit of the masonry stuff, and then I took it to the next level when I got out of the Christian cult, and I'm the ultimate rebel in my family. But I know when I'm being lied to. Contradictions. When you see contradictions, you know it's a lie. You may not know what the truth is. You don't need to know. You just sit and wait and just follow the path of non-contradiction.
Death threat from the French, or that the French had something potentially to do with Charlie's death.
Any American that receives a death threat from overseas or anywhere in America is going to be fully investigated. So we're not going to turn our eye away from that investigation or any others. If there's anything to it, this FBI will respond to it.
Okay, but so far, no.
So we are just looking at everything that comes in. We're not going to reject any piece of information. If someone feels that their life is being threatened,
we're talking about Candace. We mean someone. What do you mean someone?
Do you want to involve me in you looking at it? Because actually it kind of left me on red. There has been no communication with the FBI. You are aware right there. Megyn Kelly is asking you directly about it, so you can't pretend you didn't.
Go Megyn fucking Kelly. Bitch has your back, Candace, just in case you didn't know. Megyn Kelly's trying to get it out. She's trying to fucking help your ass because because Megyn Kelly believes you. She wouldn't even be asking if she didn't believe you. So she's got your back. This is exciting. On one hand, I am so excited to see this happening because I can feel Charlie's presence and I feel Charlie like guiding her. I really do. I know it sounds crazy, but if y'all my OGs know why I'm saying what I'm saying. Y'all know I got the spidey senses.
Receive it, and you are choosing to skip over. He completely skips over the part about me having asserted, which Megyn asks him directly, was France involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination? He doesn't even address that. Skips right over it, and instead says, if any American has a threat, that's what we're here for. And she's like, okay, but was there actually a threat on if anybody, let's just kind of state it more broadly, we will take it seriously. Well, you're not doing that, Kash Patel. And I find it very odd that I said that I had proof that the government of France.
If you were to call your sheriff and you knew there was a cold case or an open case and you said, I have proof of something, proof, not evidence, proof. This is the difference in legal terms. Evidence points towards a set of beliefs. Proof is fact, hard, empirically observable evidence that is non-questionable. It is like saying, this is blue. Like, I have proof this is blue because I can show it to you. It's blue. Okay? If I write on my show notes, I have evidence I wrote with a blue pen. But not proof. This pen is the proof. So you're telling an FBI agent, and you're like, this Candace, this ain't nobody. This ain't just nobody. And they just don't respond. If that was in your local town, your sheriff would call you back. Damn sure a detective would call your ass back. You know it. Candace does not contradict herself every day. She goes back and corrects what her muses have been wrong about. She is being a detective. You're trying to tell me that she's what is she supposed to be? Infallible? Always right the whole way? That's not true. She goes back and says, I was wrong about this. I missaid that. Blah, 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 blah. You gotta watch her. I can tell the people who aren't watching her, if you're honest people and you've watched her, you wouldn't be saying none of that.
France was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, that they were on the ground that day, and you have not reached out to me. In this very interview that you are asserting that you are certain that Tyler Robinson is the only person involved, how can you be certain if you are not reaching out to people that claim to have verifiable evidence which could dispute that narrative? Does it seem to you like he's telling the truth there? Does it seem to you like he's being open, he's being transparent, or does it seem like he's intentionally being cagey because he knows that I am telling the truth, despite the many millions of dollars that is being spent on this Operation Mockingbird 2.0 campaign? Kash Patel knows that I am telling the truth. That's why they are turning to influencers to try to tell you not to look that way. Candace is crazy. Oh my gosh, like Candace must have made this up. But the people that are in power are not telling you that I made this up, even when they are given the opportunity to do so. They are choosing to stay silent, okay?
Walk away. That's my
and
phrase.
I am
Is walk away.
waiting
I say that
for
shit to
all of
people
this to be
'cause I'm
uncovered
a
because
lady,
this is
so I
bigger
do.
than we could
I
have
do
ever
it.
imagined. And it is very clear to me that our satellite of nations involved in this is not so implausible.
Jonna,
In fact,
that's funny.
maybe it's very plausible that all of these states are somehow involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. So here's what happened after we went off air. I received a tip actually from overseas, which has positively blown my mind. And it's blown my mind in a lot of ways, particularly because I had this intuition in terms of the things that I was researching and that were coming up, and we're looking into Utah and all of these things.
She's totally fucking on the trail, man. Honestly, like, I'm about to start hashtagging Candace Owens for president. Y'all don't do it until I do. Seriously, swear to God. I trust her. She's fucking smart. This girl is fucking brilliant. Jeez. And the burgundy shirts, I can't wait to, like, the people who have been snitching. That's what buttons it all up for me, is the snitches.
That there was this chance that trafficking, like global trafficking, is could be involved here. Like that this could be maybe somehow Charlie was being asked to be brought in. He built an organization that has a presence, I think, in all 50 states, actually in all 50 states. And that presents a certain opportunity, like for potentially trafficking. Now, the tip that we received was that we were very much on the right track, and that there was another Pierre that we should be looking into, right? And what I'm going to say is, despite this tip and indicating that Turning Point, people that work with Turning Point or one of their, action organizations, who knows which organization, they have a few, took a meeting with this particular Pierre. We cannot verify that yet. We would like to verify that information. And if you know more, please email us, moretips@candaceowens.com. But I'm going to tell you that even if we can't verify that tip, just knowing who this person is, this person who lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, and is a billionaire, and that is where Turning Point USA is based.
That narrows it down. So, for all of you sleuths, this is why I believe her, because I know how to sleuth. Now, you go look at all the net worth people, public records in Arizona. There's only so many billionaires. Then you go to socials. You start to dig on those people. I've done it. You can do it. You can't just form an opinion because it just feels right. You need to verify. Be a journalist. Everyone should know how to be a journalist in a world of lies. You need to learn how to verify. You have so much internet at your disposal. Google Maps shows you fucking down to like your rose bush in the garden. So like, come on. Like, do the research. This is so like...
Knowing this person's background is incredibly compelling, okay? This individual that they mentioned that we should take a look into or learn more about, his name is Pierre Falcone. Now, I had never heard of this individual, and I'm going to say allegedly again regarding the Turning Point USA connection, but his past is not allegedly, okay? He was involved in a scandal that almost brought down the French government, and it involved, here we go, Africa, Angola in particular, Israel, France, and the United States. Arms trafficking, okay? Weapons that were being trafficked into Africa. And this scandal came to be known as Angola Gate. And I'm going to do my best here to summarize it for you so that you get the gist of this. In short,
do y'all remember
the
that?
Scandal happened during the civil war in Angola. So you have an African country.
Calm down, bro.
Is a civil.
You don't know anything about anyone on here to even say that you're the only fucking journalist, especially to curse. You don't know who's here. And plus, if that's what you're saying, you're shit talking me, because what do you think I'm doing? So how about you just calm down for 5 seconds? We are people who like to look at both sides. So chill. Nobody is talking about what you know. They were talking about your emotions because you were emoting about things, because you were adding intensity to your comments. So just chill. Like, relax.
civil war. You should just know instinctively that none of these civil wars are organic. No civil war ever was organic. Not even our civil war was organic. It's a bunch of Freemason lodges, deep state government involvement, and you can bet your money that the deep state is always involved when stuff is going on in Africa. Civilized countries are always involved in
Uh-oh. Whoa. I don't know. That was weird.
sponsoring civilizations being brought down. Anyways, it gets discovered during the course of French elections, and this is dating back to 1999.
I don't think she's
that
asking
the French
for someone to
government
be
is
doxxed. She didn't ask that at all. See, this is where things go sideways. She never asked for someone to be doxxed. What she's doing is this is literally how modern day journalism works. I am a forensic psychologist, and I also have a criminal mind to watch, that kind of shit. So I'm all over those channels and I watch these people sleuth. It's really easy. She has to give you enough information to know that she's being credible. What do you want her to do? If she doesn't give you enough and she just relies on the people smart enough to know how to go look, she's going to look totally insane because you can't just have no receipts. But she has to be smart about what she knows, because if she has proof, she's got to make sure she handles the proof properly. And I wouldn't be recklessly saying things or revealing my informants or whatever. You're going to protect your lines of your streams of info, people talking to you, and you're going to get everything positioned to pounce right at the right moment. And that's exactly what Candace does, man. Y'all forget who she is. But people are responsible for themselves at the end of the day. If you're going to be reckless investigating someone, if Candace, that's all the people that said Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th. Fuck off with that shit too. Because everyone who stormed that Capitol at the end of the day made that decision on their own. You made the decision. No one had you at gunpoint. And if I decide to go fucking stalk someone that I figured out who it was because she said it was a billionaire, that's my choice, and it's not Candace's fault. That is called accountability. That is called recovery. And we are dealing with mass psychosis, and most people need to know that they need to enter recovery of some sort. Because we are responsible for ourselves. Words are one thing, but what you decide to do is on you. And some people want accountability. Does that make people do crazy things? Absolutely. But love makes people do crazy things too, and they feel justified. So we can get stuck into matters of conjecture or semantics, but I like evidence, and I'm watching everything. And she is this is literally divine guidance.
Actually involved in trafficking weapons, military grade weapons, to Angola to facilitate this war. And they did this through an illicit network of countries. The public learns this, and it turns out that France is involved, Russia is involved, Slovakia is involved. They're using this company, which is known as Branco International, to sell these arms to the Angolan president. Now, Branco International is run by this guy. His name is Arkady Gaidamak. Of course, he is Israeli.
It's really interesting, Frank. You just said the world has so quickly lost the responsibility of self and actions. And someone just threw a temper tantrum, called all of you names, when none of you were being rude to him at all. I watch my chats. And he just got literally emotionally out of control because he's triggered, not by Candace, but by what she represents to him. And a lot of times what I saw getting out of the cult, trying to wake up my family, who I couldn't wake up because you can't force waking up on people, is a temper tantrum that was very similar to what this gentleman has just displayed in the chat. And I don't fault him for it, but what it is it becomes so uncomfortable to realize the reality of what she's saying, that it makes you angry, and you're not sure exactly why you're angry. So you attack the messenger or or her because of what she represents. It's not really her. He's attacking her because that's the physical thing he can direct his anger at. And it's, this is recovery, 101. And I've watched it happen with my family members, and, it makes them so physically uncomfortable, the truth. It really does. And I can understand why. But it's funny how they call me crazy, and me the one that's mentally ill, and me the one that's emotionally da-da-da. Okay. Yep. But you guys, all I said was I couldn't keep living a lie. That I'm mentally insane. Okay.
Israeli, initially born in Russia, and then right when Israel becomes a nation, he moves there. He's also, of course, the president of the Congress of Jewish Religious Communities, so you can't question anything he does. It's anti-Semitic. And his partner is Pierre Falcone. Pierre Falcone is born in Algeria. He moves to France after the Algerian Civil War. So I'm just going to bring up the players here very quickly. This is just from a website that's called Corruption Tracker. You've got Pierre Falcone. He's the businessman, the main broker of the arms deals. He gets convicted of arms trafficking, breach of trust, a misuse of corporate assets, bribery. He gets sentenced to 6 years in prison, but then he gets cleared on an appeal. Okay, so technically he was found not guilty of this crime, and then was sentenced to a reduced 2.5 years in prison. You have Arkady Gaidamak, who I just told you about. He's the other businessman, and he gets convicted, even though he never showed up, in France, of arms trafficking, tax fraud, bribery, money laundering, you name it. You have the French interior minister that was implicated. You also have Francois Mitterrand, the French president's son, that was implicated in this. When I say high-reaching, as in like the president of France at that time was implicated via his son, who was involved in this. Basically, everyone was getting paid off of this. It ends up being 41 politicians involved, multiple states, and of course, multiple nations that are involved, including Angola. But you should know the scandal also touched the United States. Human rights groups demanded that Congress also probe the Bush administration's involvement because they claim they did a deal and got involved for oil. Of course, why do we have wars? Because they can go in and they can steal a country's resources. I hope you are awake to that by now. Everything that's being sold to you, fighting for their power, fighting for their rights, Muslims versus Christians.
Like, we always buy into that narrative. I mean, I think because there's a bit of truth in it, they have to use enough truth to make it believable. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, we all recognize we got duped with the 9/11 thing, and we don't want our dollars to represent some bullshit. Again, just happened again with Israel and Hamas. There's a lot going on in the Middle East you guys really need to pay attention to. It's Qatar. There's a lot. It's just interesting what's going on. But yes, Candace is, yes, John, she is digging fine tooth combing it. And I'm telling you, she's figuring it the fuck out. Now they can't do anything to her because now it's too obvious. It's fucking brilliant. That's that moment where you're right. It's where, okay. Even when I'm right, okay, I think I'm right. But even if I'm wrong, I'm still right. Because if she's wrong, well, everyone thinks she's crazy anyway. And if she's right, well, now they can't freaking pop her like they were planning. Which I think they were planning on doing this before they got Charlie. Because apparently there's someone else on the list too. And his name has not gotten as much press. Which makes me wonder why. It's because she's the one that's talking. We're really going after her.
Wealthy bankers that want resources, okay? I'm reading this Bush component from a website that's known as Corp Watch, And it tells us that, quote, known as Angola Gate, in France, the scandal involves arms for oil deals between French businessman Pierre Falcone, the head of a firm that was called Branco International, his colleague, Jean-Christophe Mitterrand, the son of the former French president, and a Russian-born Israeli named Arkady Gaidamak. According to All the President's Men, a March 25th report on Angola Gate by Global Witness, Gaidamak funneled billions of dollars in arms and oil-backed loans to Angola's government in return for lucrative oil contracts with Western oil companies. Falcone and Gaidamak, relying on the special access that Mitterrand had to the Angolan government, managed to transfer some $463 million in arms.
Listen, I got a heater on my feet. I just ate this like super hearty meal of mashed potatoes and some kind of like amazing stew my husband made that was divine, and wine. So your girl is a bit cozy. I keep yawning. I'm trying not to yawn. But yes, Candace is at the tip of the spear. Oh my God. I just pray to the Lord that they keep her safe, because I could cry right now if just thinking about something happening to Candace. For real though. This is like, what a time to be alive, y'all. What a time to be alive. This is the feet of the image in Isaiah's prophecy. We're watching the feet crumble. We're watching it all fall apart. Armageddon is nigh. And I'm a witch. And I like Jesus. Ain't nobody understand me. Talk about being frustrated. I'm mixed. I'm from all sorts. I'm from every end of reject in the world you could be. Here I am, chugging along.
To Angola. And that's interesting.
Vlad
that
the
is
Impaler.
Very interesting. Now, according to my sources in France, they say that the people of France were absolutely outraged. They found this to be naked corruption when he won his appeal. And then afterwards, Pierre Falcone just disappeared into thin air, disappeared from France, because as it turns out, he actually reappeared in Scottsdale. And what he's been doing since is anybody's guess. But we had some tips, which I'd like to pursue further. Since again, he is in Scottsdale, and we know that Turning Point is very much involved in politics in Scottsdale, as to whether or not he still has a foot in politics. Are they familiar with this person? What we can say is that suddenly, for certain, we can say that particular satellite of countries is not so ridiculous, okay? So the joke's on all of you guys who are trying to pretend that the idea that multiple nations could be involved in a scandal is just so far-reaching, okay? That is the former American mindset where we believed that our...
Oh my God. No. Yeah, I'd go to war. It'd be bad. I'd be demanding a lot. I'm getting in some good positions though, so we'll see. We'll see. We shall see.
Government were the good guys, and let me tell you, many of us have had our eyes open to the possibility that wasn't so. All of us maybe were half asleep and thought, oh well, there are some good guys. It's the left that's bad, or it's the right that's bad. The day that Charlie Kirk got publicly executed in front of the world, and our government was just behaving in ways that indicated that they wanted to cover this up, that they were not interested in getting to the bottom of this, everybody woke up.
We've apprehended the suspect in 33 hours. That is record time. Oh, shut up. He was 3 hours away. He was also wearing a burgundy shirt, which really, to me, is interesting because there were a ton of people wearing burgundy shirts. Interesting to me.
Everybody is awake in the whole world right now that there is something much more far-reaching and nefarious that is going on. And trafficking is definitively to
Listen.
me a plausibility because I believe
It was so good. And I've just been listening to her voice for 2 hours, so snooze.
that if you are an entrepreneur and you become successful in this country, meritocracy, we do not live in.
Frank's
No,
back.
I believe Tucker Carlson was right when he called that out on stage and started asking about how these people become billionaires. I believe that you, when you get to a certain level, have to decide whether you are going to join the gang, okay? Whether you're going to join the gang of global governance, the gang that can snap its fingers and start a civil war in Africa. And if you have the nerve to say no to joining that gang and giving them access to whatever it is that you have created, you're a dead man walking. That's my perspective today on how this whole thing works. And I am very much thinking that it is definitively a sensible and a rational plausibility that Charlie Kirk came up against this gang, right? Like, you're with us or you're against us. And what I can tell you is we also received a tip from somebody within Turning Point USA that the night before he died, I know for a fact he messaged a donor and he messaged somebody at Turning Point USA. But I did not know, and this is what was told to me, that he also messaged Dan Flood, the security that's to his right, and allegedly explicitly said that they are going to kill me tomorrow. So again, that many people know that Charlie sensed that he was going to die tomorrow is an absolute fact. Why these individuals are all being quiet about that is a massive question mark. Okay,
I don't trust any
and what we can say for certain is, of course, people will betray one another if money is on the line, right? And it could be for 30 pieces of silver, or it could be for billions. But things get complicated when there's a lot of money on the line. So we're going to pause there. We have a bunch of things that I want to show you when we get back. But first, let's go to sponsors. All right, you guys, I'll ask the question, what are you doing today to protect your tomorrow? Because waiting until later, that's not.
All right.
I honestly am wondering how it would actually work if you were trafficking weapons and you're trafficking drugs and you're doing this, which obviously our CIA has been engaged in trafficking. I mean, you could almost argue that that's what they were put together to do, the deep state. How does that work? Like, would you then have random military planes that are coming in and following people? And my imagination would be that probably the opportunity always exists when there's a really big event, right? Because people don't question when there's tons of trucks coming in. Like if it's a Taylor Swift concert, no one's going to question if there's tons of jets that are coming in and there's tons of trucks that are coming in. You just go, this must all be for the big show. Like, or the Super Bowl would be a great event, the opportunity for people to traffic. And companies that have a lot of events would probably provide a pretty sound opportunity for people who are interested in those sorts of things to do that. I'm thinking about that now a lot. What's happening on the Operation Mockingbird 2.0 side is now they are all blaming me for the upcoming midterms. We're not going to win midterms. Like, we're not even close to that right now. But when that happens, it's definitively going to be Candace's fault. It's so ridiculous. I couldn't care less. Tim Pool has been one of these people that is crying a lot. So he hosted Milo Yiannopoulos on his show. And first and foremost, he called all of you stupid.
Yes,
he said, he explicitly said, I am saying that people that watch her show are stupid because they're not accepting the Fed slop and that they will not just eat the Fed slop that we are trying to give them. And then it was funny because later on in the show, he kind of lamented the fact that he lost a bunch of subscribers to his show because he attacked me, even though I never attacked him back. But he didn't put two and two together, which would imply that that means that people who are watching your show were also watching my show. So you're calling your own fans stupid, which is probably why they unsubscribed.
Yep.
Regardless of that,
show tanked.
Milo Yiannopoulos breaks down the real reason why people
thanks, Rob,
are upset. The real reason that if we lose midterms, who we should be pinning the blame on. And he's come up with a way more compelling understanding, which is how we're all feeling. The person to blame if Trump loses midterms, if Republicans lose midterms, might be Republicans. It might be Trump. Here is what Milo had to say, and I will add that he is sitting also with George Santos, who joined them. Take a listen.
Jeffrey Epstein, as Bannon has said, and who would know better than him, it turns out.
You're going to quote Bannon, who consulted for Epstein?
I just said who would know better than him, as it turns out.
I just want to make that very clear for anybody listening.
I just said who would know better, as it turns out. He said that Epstein was the key that picks the lock, right? Of all of the kinds of things that people are asking, like, what is going on here? Why is this like this? And why is it? Epstein was one of the central ideological planks of MAGA teleology. Like, why does the world work like it does? Why do things look weird? Why do those people keep getting away with it and those people keep not getting away with it? Jeffrey Epstein was considered by everybody who voted for Donald Trump as a central pillar of understanding that we would unlock, and it would be like a code where bits of the universe would get like decoded for us. Like, oh my goodness, it's because of that judge. It's because of that. Everybody had that expectation. And there isn't one person who voted for Donald Trump who did not want and did not expect the Epstein files to be released immediately, in full, unredacted.
I did not have that expectation. I did not vote for Trump.
Okay, fine. Everybody except George, of course.
No, that's not true. There's so many people. I voted for Trump for many other reasons other than that.
And stop it, grow up.
You think that puts food on the table?
Grow up.
Oh, come on.
It's about egg prices. Stop
Sassy.
it. Come on. Part of the reason that Trump was elected in 2016 was that Hillary Clinton was emblematic of the way that the world was going wrong. The secret elite collusion, Epstein, it was all linked. And people who voted for him the first time and people who voted for him every time since, you can't find me someone apart from George, apparently, who did not want to see the Epstein files.
Let me ask you.
And I promise I'll wrap up and let someone else go. But when he said, there's no Epstein files, and then the Democrats made it up, and then stop asking, and then if you're
okay, but see, he had to do that. I kind of agree with his strategy there, because if he had just come out the floodgates releasing that, they would have been like, oh, he altered that's fake, he's just picking on the Democrats because it's all Democrats that's implicated in there. So he had to like pretend it wasn't a thing to get them outraged, to make them demand its release, so that way he could say, you guys wanted this, you wanted this.
asking, you're not a fan of mine. And then if you're asking, I don't want you.
I agree with all of this.
That is the moment Trumpism died.
I agree.
And don't we need a reckoning? And if that reckoning comes through the obviously, I promise I'm nearly done, obviously inadequate account from the feds and Turning Point about what happened around, before, and after Charlie Kirk's death, where his ride or die homegirl is asking questions that have exposed some inconsistencies and some questions, and which seem to point to a different etiology for the crime than the one that we're being told. And when everybody from Turning Point looks so sinister, suspicious, and guilty all the time, and they're losing to her. Respect the public on that, at least. They're losing to her, and they have every reason to be winning. So she has every reason to be losing. Isn't it smart for us to have that reckoning in the Republican Party right now?
Amen. All of that, okay? All of that. And what I really like that he says there is respect the public on that. At the very least, respect the public, okay? We are voting right now. We are voting with our eyes. We are voting in terms.
You gotta love what he said, though. If I was Candace, I'd be like, fucking thank you. Somebody with some freaking balls decided to tell everyone, excuse me, I'm allowed to have questions. I'm like his best friend. And why is Erica like, hello? Isn't it kind of weird? Like, they're just, Erica's not shutting this shit down. She's not acknowledging it. She's letting TPUSA control. I don't know. There's a lot of allegations and it's tanking. The Charlie Kirk show. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, and they could have been on top of the world right now because we were all ready to pick up the torch, and now we're like, hold on a second. What corporate entity raided TPUSA? Who is it? Is it the French? Is it the Israelis? Is it the U.S.? What happened? Who is it? We want to know. Obviously, he was assassinated, so we know it's not Tyler Robinson all by himself. It's not just a crazed furry. Come on. How stupid do they think we all are? We just want to know why. In this day and age, we understand how you guys do things. Stop lying to us. What the fuck? Because now we're mad. Now we're mad. And a lot of us are not stuck in the emotional loop of crying. Our brains are working and we go, something is not work. Something's wrong.
of when we say, I don't want to listen to this podcaster because they're trying to get me to eat this fed slop. This is how we're voting. Too. I mean, so many people are going down. It's like something about the Charlie Kirk assassination. We're looking around and we're going, guys, are you really going to try to impart this operation upon us where you go, if we keep saying it, eventually the public will accept it. They'll just eat the fed slop.
I like how
and we're looking around and we're going, wow,
Casey.
I thought this person was a good guy. I'm feeling like this right now. I'm like, I really actually trusted this person. Man, I've worked with that person. I've collabed with that person. They're joining this side? You too? You too? You too? And the public is saying, no.
Well, Frank, I believe in the law of duality, so yin yang is the symbol of such law of physics, so I believe we all are both good and evil, tainted and pure. Just takes the right environment to bring it out, to create the right conditions to bring about one force or the other, because the kingdom of God is within us all. And if the law of duality applies to all of physics, well, God cannot break its own laws of physics, so that would mean that the law of duality applies to God too, and that means the devil exists on the other side of that coin, and the devil also exists within our heart. So I think there will be a forever tug, a yin and yang.
There's not enough influencers that you can pay, okay, that is going to convince me that...
Jack says, Trump is the last term of presidency. Some of my friends are losing faith in draining the swamp. I feel you. That is why I am like, fucking shit, America fucking only, folks. Jack, we gotta spread it. Hashtag only, America only. Hashtag America only.
Charlie ate enough salad to stop at 30-06. Respect the public on that, and they won't. They seem to not be doing it. They're like, nope, we just need more. It's more dollars that need to be spent, more articles that need to be written. We need to call the public more names. We need to call them a cult. We need to call them crazy. They're not respecting us on this point whatsoever. I do also want to say that the Hodge twins reiterated that point in a tweet. They said Republicans won't lose the midterms because of Candace Owens. They will lose the midterms because no deep state criminals have been held accountable. They will lose because we are still sending our money to corrupt foreign countries. They will lose because America's last traitors like Lindsey Graham are getting promoted. It is simple. Republicans will lose because they aren't listening to the people that voted for them. And that is also so well said. And speaking of the ridiculous fed slop narrative, there is a YouTuber named Jesse Kague who has a channel called One Shot TV. It's all about guns. And he didn't have a horse in this race. Obviously, he's pretty upfront about the fact that, okay, the 30-06 narrative, I've seen bullets do weird things.
Whoa, she's going to show you.
The 30-06, maybe if it hit your thigh, but I'm just going to test this fairly.
Yes.
And he is going to, and thank you to Mel, who is Village Crazy Lady, and Ryan Matta on X for bringing this video to my attention. But this guy, Jesse, is going to test the 30-06, and I want you to watch it.
Here we go.
All right, guys, we have a couple different rounds we could use for this test. There is like 1,000 30-06s out there, and that's one reason why I wasn't ready to just jump in doubting the story right away, because we don't even know what kind of ammo was used. It could literally be anything. So the first one we have is the 180 grain full metal jacket ball round. This is one of the most common 30-06s out there, this and the 150 grain. If you go to a gun shop and just ask for 30-06 ammo, this is probably what they'll give you. If I had to guess, I would honestly say he probably used something like this, just because it is the most common round out there. The second one that we have is a lot more interesting. This is the 150 grain Hornady ballistic tip. I actually bought this one specifically for this test, just to give us the highest chance of something stopping in the target. Okay, this is how we're going to set this one up. I have our ballistic dummy bust on a table in the front. I do have it slightly angled so we can hit the target that we're aiming for. Behind it, I have 3 5-gallon water jugs, just in case the bullet over-penetrates. Maybe we'll get lucky and actually capture it. And then what I'm going to do is pull my truck back here and try to use the roof to get a slight downward angle on the target, just like it was in real life. Unfortunately for this video, I'm not going going to be able to take the shot at 140 yards. I got too many cameras to operate.
So glad she's showing
I did do that in our first video, though. If you want to see it, I'll link it right here. I just wanted to show you how easy it was and how close that actually is with this caliber. Trust me, it's a chip shot. There's going to be almost no difference between 30 or 40 and 140.
His head would be.
It's 1,000-yard gun.
I literally said
we might be gaining a few feet per second, but
I feel liberated because I said his block would be knocked off.
Ultimately, the result will be very similar.
Oh my God. Look at that.
Well, we definitely penetrated our water jugs, and
yeah, I've seen people shoot that thing. I've seen that people shoot that thing at sandbags, concrete bags, concrete walls, wooden walls, like brick walls. I've seen it all.
To stop the conspiracy theories. His head fell off.
Oh, cool, Jack.
Look at that. I mean,
my Tokarev bullpup is my favorite gun lately.
Watch that.
Look at that. Look. That's created at the same density as a human. Look. Gives me goosebumps and butterflies all at the same time. All right, guys.
I figured this is probably what would happen. I was trying to remain optimistic, but that right there is why people are skeptical on the official story. The 30-06 is
Jack, maybe they'll sponsor my show because I like to shoot.
It's a very hard round to stop.
Yeah, so I wanted to show that because I realized there's a bunch of people who may not be gun enthusiasts. Obviously, that channel is dedicated to it. And just so you understand and really appreciate what the federal government is trying to sell to you right now.
Yep.
That's what we mean when we say that particular bullet would have decapitated Charlie. Like you see,
yeah, it would have been
like actually just the idea that just like ricocheted and went inward is just so beyond ridiculous. It's insulting. And they think that if they send out these like Glee boys, like Nick Fuentes acting, you know, someone who looks like he's never even been traversed into nature before, that if they really put on the theater and a bunch of hunters are going to go, yeah, I see what you mean, man. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. And so at some point, they are going to either just, I don't know, have to declare war on the American people. Like, never mind. We're just going to go to war with you because you won't accept it. Or they're going to have to give us something that's truthful. Somebody is going to have to come forward and say something that makes sense.
Right.
And because I believe that this conspiracy is so far reaching, because I believe it is exactly like the JFK assassination, and people close to Charlie are aware of things, that they sold him out in many ways every single day that goes by where they don't tell us the truth and they're not honest about the anxiety that Charlie had the night before he died. They look more and more guilty. I am convinced that that they're just going to try to hide it further. I truly believe that the deep state is involved in this assassination and multiple states are involved, and they don't know what to do. I think they've completely come undone because they believed that with enough money and power, they would get away with it. But at the end of the day, common sense seems to be ruling the roost. All right, we're going to take another break before I get to some of your questions.
Okay. There you have it. All right, Jack, noted. I hope you guys really go back if you haven't. Seems like you guys are all caught up. All right. Let me see. Who? All right. Now it's time for the fan of the show. I think I'm going to have to go with Data. Data over there on Rumble. But I kind of want to give it to like 3 or 4 of you. I mean, I got enough show notes. So how about tonight I give it to 3 of you. Data 12 on Rumble, and then Jack and Mr. John. I think he left, but we can tell him next time I see him. Because Data like got everyone a subscription. That was really cool. He gifted everyone a subscription that was on the show over in Rumble. How sweet. So yeah, My email is literally the show name plus Gmail. So, but yeah, it's really disturbing that things have gotten to the point where it's so easy for them to just do whatever the hell they want, and there's nothing we can do about it. But America, now that we've walked through the shadows together, I want to close tonight with the part our enemies fear the most. How we fight back, how we win this spiritual war, how we reclaim what was stolen. Because let me tell you something, evil thrives on confusion, silence, and compliance. But it collapses the second the people become unified, aware, and spiritually armed. So here's how we fight. 1, we tell the truth loudly, relentlessly, and without fear. Because darkness only survives where we whisper. The minute we speak boldly, publicly, and together, the spell breaks. You want to terrify the corrupt? Tell the truth where everyone can hear it. We refuse to be gaslit. They call this misinformation. They will call it dangerous. They will say you imagined it, that you exaggerated it, that you misunderstood it even. But the truth does not require permission, and the enemy does not get to define reality anymore. Because we protect the truth tellers. Because every time one is struck down, 10 more rise. That is how spiritual warfare works. The light multiplies. Charlie's voice did not end. It amplified. And now the 4th one, if you've been paying attention, we're on number 4. We demand accountability. Not politely, not eventually, not after the election. Now, justice is not a courtesy. It's a command. We fight spiritually, with prayer, with intention, with discernment, with courage, with the kind of moral clarity that no government agency can manufacture or manipulate. When your soul is aligned with truth, no institution can intimidate you. We stop believing that the lie that we are powerless. We are not spectators in this war. We are participants. And every single person who wakes up, who asks questions, who demands answers, that's a blow to the darkness. That's a victory. And finally, we unite. Because the enemy fears one thing more than anything else. And that's a nation that wakes up at the same time. It's not about left or right anymore. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about the truth versus deception. Freedom versus control. Light versus the hollow machinery of evil that has been operating unchecked for far too long. Charlie's assassination was meant to intimidate the American people, but instead it awakened us. It was meant to silence, but instead it exposed. It was meant to break morale. Instead, it ignited a fire. So tonight I leave you with this. We don't fear the darkness. The darkness fears us, the awakened, the relentless, the spiritually armed. And we will not stop. We will not bow. We will not retreat. Not until every corrupt actor is held accountable. Not until the truth is undeniable. Not until the American spirit, bruised, battered, and unbreakable, stands victorious. This is our moment, our awakening, our battle. And yes, we will win. And with that, I bid you adieu. Good night, everybody.